Hello, everyone. This is William del Pilar, and Happy New Year. I am your conservative Latino, ready to get it going and getting on down in 2026 with our regular weekly panel of G. Mangani and Annette Ross. We got a pretty good show for you tonight. We got a bunch of hot takes. There's so much news going around the nation. So there's a lot of little stories that have been overlooked, but that are massively important, ranging from the War Powers Act resolution Congress is pushing towards fraud, waste, and abuse coming more and more to the surface, towards housing, one of G. Mangani's takes from many weeks ago, hopefully coming true. But we're going to touch on the two main stories, and that is an update on Venezuela and these morons. We got to be honest here. It is true. If Trump cured cancer, they would sit there and find something to criticize him. If Trump walked on water, every atheist would start defending Jesus Christ. It's like anything Trump does, they just turn against. So we're going to talk about Venezuela, and then we're going to talk about the ICE agent who defended himself. That's right. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, well, we need to wait for the facts. The video is pretty evident, and I'm not talking about the edited crap that you saw early on, because when you look at it from the angle they want you to look at it from, you're thinking, well, maybe you could have gotten out of the way. And I will mindly remind you, 2-ton car, 200-pound human being, a little tap can kill you. This isn't Hollywood where the 90-pound woman gets hit by the car, flips through the air 5 times, gets up and beats up the 300-pound hitman. That's Hollywood. This is real life. So we've got a good show for you. And with that, your questions are welcome. Your comments are welcome. And a Happy New Year to everybody. And let me bring on our regular panel. First up, we're going to go ladies first. It's a new year with the beautiful Miss Annette Ross. How you doing, Annette?
Happy New Year, William. Nice to see you.
Oh, I just realized I got the headset on, but I got the speakers on. Before I bring in Mr. G. Mangani, I will have to fix this here real quick. All right, let's bring Mr. G. Mangani. G, how you doing, brother?
Good. For the 29th year in a row, I was hoping for a normal year, but we're not going to get it.
You're hoping for a what year?
A normal year.
Oh my God! The
Just
year started off with a
normal
bang.
Year.
It started off with a bang. The operation. Oh gosh, I got it in my notes here. But the Venezuelan.
I just have to say, I think the last normal year was 1997, where there was no news, and then 1998, Monica Lewinsky, and just from there on, it's just every year is just crazy. So.
Yeah, I got to be honest. As a sailor. And Monica Lewinsky, we sailors, we give props to Bill Clinton. We human beings go, bro, what are you doing there? Taking advantage of a 20-year-old girl, And what makes Monica worse and what makes her more pathetic, she's still defending the Democrat Party and won't say anything about Bill. I mean, she's putting her ideology, you're a woman, to me, who grew up with 3 sisters, a mom and an aunt, she's doing a disservice to women by not speaking out about what happened to her and condemning Republicans as if it's their fault for the fallout that happened.
We're going to talk about Monica.
Or cigars.
I don't have any sympathy for her at all.
All right. Well, let's get on to it. Our first topic, I want to start out. The big story tonight is going to be the ICE debacle in terms of the Democrats and the long-term backlash they will face from this as more and more information comes out. The difference with ICE situation and George Floyd, which they're trying to make it into a George Floyd, like they tried to do with the ICE riots in LA, is George Floyd he got beat down. And, his head, it was pretty black and white what happened there. And they're trying to recreate that. So that's going to be our big story. We're going to spend a little bit more time. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time because as you were enjoying your white Christmas, Annette, and then relaxing there in Rancho Santa Fe, we saw the difference between Dick, and I literally mean Dick Cheney, and Donald Trump. Dick Cheney the Congress, I need about $3 trillion, about 20,000 troops, and I'm going to need about 10 years to go into Iraq. And one thing us military men have always pondered is, now we got special forces. Sure, it's not a Hollywood movie, but they're trained. People don't understand this. A SEAL team, man, my God, what's up with the SEAL? Every damn SEAL wants to go out there and do his own podcast now. These guys are supposed to be secret. You ever see a Delta Force guy with a podcast? No. But so my point is, these guys infiltrate. The movies do not show the real SEAL teams because they're limited with weapons, they're limited with ammos, they're not built for long-term engagements. They're built to go in, snatch the guy, or take out the guy. And Delta Force is the same thing. And Trump said, I don't need all those trillions. I just need 88 minutes. And he went in, captured Maduro, and hey, he's an equal opportunist. He arrested the wife as well, and he saved us $25 million because of 25 or 50 million. Anybody remember?
No, I don't remember.
25 million that the Biden administration, who said Trump,
it was 25 million. Yeah, the bounty.
Who said Trump wasn't doing enough, and every Democrat said Trump wasn't doing enough. All of a sudden, what you talking about, Willis? Why are you going in there? So your initial thoughts, Miss Annette, on Trump's 88-minute dismantling of not only Russian but Chinese and Cuban, whether weapons or manpower, and showed the world when we put our mind to it, you don't FAFO.
Wow, William, I'm really excited that you brought this up. I think it's really impressive. And that part of it I really liked and appreciated, us showing what an impressive military we have and what we can get accomplished. I mean, obviously that's a thing. That's one of the things they're really focusing on. I guess I need to ask you and G, are we ready for imperialism? Do I think this is a good idea? Absolutely not. And I think a lot of conservatives don't think this is a good idea. I don't think I'm alone to say that I think we're entering into a new time. I don't really know what that means this is going to bring. I think the rest remains to be seen. And William, I mean, I don't know why anybody wouldn't be concerned about, so is this what we're going to do now? Are we going to go to Colombia? Are we going to go to Mexico? Why did we pick Venezuela? I agree because China's there and Russia is there, and I understand.
Cuba's there, China's there, Russia's there.
Yeah, okay.
And drugs are coming out of there.
Okay,
and terrorists are there, and they're shipping gangs, and they're shipping gangs over to America to wreak havoc.
I disagree about the drugs. That has been debunked.
Okay, no. It has not been debunked. What they've tried to do is separate fentanyl and cocaine. Well, they're not shipping cocaine out there. They're shipping, they're not shipping fentanyl. They're shipping cocaine. What's the difference? They both kill tens of thousands of people every year, and they don't know that. Let me give you a little insight. Let me give you a little insight here. So they sat there on Operation Just Cause. They tried to claim, well, the drug trade went up after Noriega was taken out of power. There's no actual evidence of that. Now, a vacuum had to be filled, so drug pushers, drug movers. But what Noriega did is he protected the cartel from other drug companies, and it trafficked drug flow. Now, they didn't care. It was a conduit. Venezuela's a conduit as well. They are going by academics, by insiders who say, well, it's only this, it's only that. We really don't know. We've never seen an official document or an official study. So I'm not disagreeing with it. What I'm saying is that's nonsense. There's nothing been debunked. They just don't know how much cocaine versus fentanyl is coming out of Venezuela.
Okay, but didn't Trump himself say it was about the oil? He's not.
That's the Monroe Doctrine. But Trump has always talked about the drug trade from day one. This is what I remember when Hugo Chavez took over. I'm like, well, what about all these? We built the infrastructure there. We built everything. Hugo Chavez just stole it. I go, and I grew up in Panama at an era where you don't mess with Americans or the government will take care of you. And I'm like, the government's leaving all these companies. I go, that hurts everything. And that means you can't, if the government doesn't have your back, these conglomerates aren't going to be able to do their jobs effectively. And that directly does impact us. So Trump you're right. It's not about the oil. It's one aspect. See, where Trump is wrong is how he is so callous, so straight to the point. He just says it what's on his mind. But it's about the oil, it's about the drugs, it's about the Cubans and Cuba itself, which needs this pipeline to the oil. It's about China that also gets about, I want to say 70% of the oil from Venezuela goes to China, and it's also about Russia using it. So it's more than just the drugs. But I need you to understand, it wasn't debunked. They're just trying to sit there and tell you it's cocaine. What they're trying to do is say, okay, it's cocaine. Cocaine's harmless. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Gee, your take.
I'm saying to you quickly, I just want to ask you quickly, William, and G, I know you need to go, but do you really want us running Venezuela? Is that really what you want?
Here's, and I've got a whole topic on it.
Okay.
During the holidays, I knew you were in New York, so I pinged G to do a podcast, and I never got around to doing the podcast. But I didn't have to do much research because I have studied this in depth. And that is Operation Just Cause, because I was there. I was actually interrogated by my own government. I know Operation Just Cause inside and out. And you need to understand, well, G, before I go into this I don't want to make it too long, your initial thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more along the lines with Annette. Like, I don't want to be running Venezuela.
No.
I understand why we needed to take Maduro out. I want to say Noriega, Maduro out, because I think it's 41 nations who said we don't recognize this government. There was a lot of fraud. This guy's a dictator, socialist dictator, ruining Venezuela. So he needed to be taken out. So I might agree with, okay, let's do something about it. Actually, like you were saying, Chuck Schumer in 2020 during the election, he was in front of Congress saying Trump has done nothing about Venezuela and Biden will. And then now, just last week, Chuck Schumer's on the news station, I forget which one it was, ABC maybe, saying, I can't believe Trump did this. It was illegal. We're going to try to impeach him or whatever. So I agree that he should have been taken out. I don't want to be running the country. I don't want to be setting up the next government. And so I believe right now we are working with Maduro's VP to set up a system election. Who knows if that's going to be fair or whatnot. But here's what the precedent is, right? The precedent is, whether it's good or bad, and I'm going to make an argument for both. The precedent is, the good part of it is, in America, in the Western Hemisphere, in America, we will do whatever it takes to protect our interests, our hemisphere. The bad part about it is, hey, Putin, hey, Xi Jinping over in China.
And you can't?
If you can't take Russia, or I'm sorry, you can't take Ukraine, you can't take Taiwan.
Yep.
So there is a line that's different. We're not taking over Venezuela. We're letting Venezuela be Venezuela. But that's not how Putin and Xi over there in China are going to see it. They're going to see it as, oh, well, if you can just invade another country, so can we. Obviously, there's a difference. But if we want to take out the head of Taiwan and put in a puppet government or just take over Taiwan, you think he's going to care about the nuance? No, he's going to say, well, Trump did it. So who are you to stop us? So that's where I see there's going to be a big issue.
Where does Trump and JD stand on Ukraine deep down? What have they always said? Doesn't concern
Russia
us.
can have it.
Yeah, it doesn't concern us. Not our part of the world. We now have the Donroe Doctrine.
Oh, God, I can't.
The Donroe Doctrine.
I can't with you, William.
Now let me educate my little friends here. Okay. I am not into nation building. As a young kid growing up, I wanted America this, America that, and I was all for nation building. You cannot nation build when you have a theocracy, is that religious theocracy in place. And that's what you have in the Middle East, because they don't care about democracy. They care you're either going to believe in my God or you're going to die. That's kind of a unique area, the Middle East. Everywhere else, it's every man for himself. Japan, the problem with nation building, it takes 40 some odd years. Japan, 40 some odd years. Germany, it took us 3 or 4 decades before they became their own power. But that's completely rebuilding a government. In Panama, they did the same thing. Endara, I want to say, I forget his last name, was elected, but he was politically weak. He was politically fragile. So all the corruption was still in place, despite the head of the serpent being cut. They put Indara in place. It took over a generation. Now the democracy reigned, and it got in there because the U.S. was present. And here's something most people don't understand about Central and South America. They love Americans. They really love that Yankee dollar. Their life. Panama was the only nation that was always seen as third world, but we weren't. We had a middle class. We had a vibrant. Now it wasn't the middle class compared to the United States, but it was the middle class. When Noriega took over, that went away because he became a dictator. And America and Panama started to escalate in negative ways. But what happened is they put Indara in there, and we had a presence there for a while. And then it was a democratic system, and it took about a generation. The problem with Venezuela, it's similar to Operation Just Cause in Panama, but it's slightly different because we didn't originally have a military presence as we did in Panama. But as you have seen in the streets, millions upon the millions of Venezuelans. There's a great video. If I can find it while we're talking, I'll find it. But it's this Venezuelan comedian. He goes, yeah, there are a lot of kids going to be named Donald. There's Donald Jr. There's Donald number 2, number 3. There's my little girl, Donala. It's just, because they love Donald Trump so much, and they have corruption in place. Now, if they had sat there and completely pulled, now I'm not saying agree with this, but this is what they're doing. Had they pulled that regime out completely and installed this woman, Gonzalez, she has no actual bureaucratic support. She is an elitist from the old school. In Panama, we call them Rabi Blancos, the rich white European families that came in, own all the plantation, and they exist to this day because they passed that down. That's where she comes from. She comes from the corrupt elite system that let Hugo Chavez rise to power. So what they've done is they've pretty much told the VP, yes, you like this power, we get it. You can stay in power as our front man, and yeah, you got to say your little things to sound tough, but we are going to use you to slowly implement a proper government into place. And that's going to take time. How much time? I don't know. Will that mean boots on the ground? I had no clue, but I would not be shocked if all of a sudden we get, Fort Caracas somewhere with military people. But it's a different situation from the Middle East because these are not what's the word, guys? These are not they're not people who are just what's the term for people who are rabid in their religious belief?
Zealots.
Like zealots?
Yeah,
Zealots, yes. These are not zealots. These are people who were eating dog 6 months ago. These are people who were struggling. These are people who love that. So he is using this to set up, and he is not lying by saying, y'all stole billions upon billions upon billions of dollars worth of infrastructure we built. And the other thing is, this infrastructure is still there. What happened is Venezuela just let a lot of them go to hell. But it can be rebuilt. Infrastructure's there, and we can start pumping quickly. And two, and I joked when I said the Don Road Doctrine, this is our hemisphere. This is our backyard. If you had a drug dealing family next door to you guys, I'm sure you guys would call the cops, or somebody would call the cops. This is no different. You're in our backyard. Get out. And Russia and China are not going to battle this much. Now, China's making certain waves. Russia said this is wrong. Cuba's crying. You're not your chit-chat. But Trump is doing this completely different. And nobody was killed because Trump is not pro-war. Trump doesn't want to get into a conflict. He wants to go there, set up another ally, and then get out, which is what he'll probably do.
Isn't Mexico in our backyard too?
Yeah, he's warning her. Now, Now, let's be real. Little nations that don't have military arms, they can be dealt with differently. But Mexico, because it's right next door to us, has to be dealt with differently than we deal with Venezuela. When you're overseas, that distance creates bigger cojones to do things. When it's in your backyard, the reality is you have to do it differently. Now, but Trump has been warning Mexico since he took office. Before he took office, he'd been warning Venezuela. One domino down.
That guy is over his skis. I'm sorry to say it.
Over his what?
He's over his skis. He's just not.
Well, why?
Why? Because, William, I mean, come on. You're a lot smarter than me. You don't see the bigger picture here? It's really problematic the way he's behaving, I think. It's really problematic for the United States. Do you don't think?
No, be specific. You're talking generalities. It's easy to spew a generality, but so what's going, because you're alluding that something bad's going to happen. What's going to happen?
What do you mean? I think it sets a horrible precedent for other
places. This isn't a precedent. This has been done many times over.
Well, I think that was a bad idea when it's been done many times over too. I don't think it. I thought we weren't imperialism was something from the past. Imperialism all died after World War II.
Well, when you say imperialism, what are you specifically referring to?
I mean, we control another country. When, like, the UK had all of its little imperialistic colonies all over the world, and we controlled other places. I mean, I thought we weren't doing that anymore.
What I will say in that I agree with you generally in terms of the precedent. This I don't think was an imperialistic move because we're not. Yeah, we're going to run Venezuela through. I forget her name. The vice president over there in Venezuela. What's her name?
Macado.
Wait, and didn't she change her mind though, G? She was against it first, and how did we strong arm her into agreeing? That's a little scary too. And didn't everyone hear the story about how many people?
No. Who was against who first? What are you talking about?
The vice president.
Yeah, no, that's a different person. G's talking about Macado, the one who was never elected. She was taken off the elections, but her proxy Gonzalez won. That's who he's talking about. You're conflating two different people here.
All right,
and you're right. She was against it early on.
Yes.
And then she's like, I want to live, or I don't want to go to jail. I'll play your game.
Yes.
But here's what I was trying to say, that this is not an imperialistic move.
Well, hold on, G. Hold on. Before
we're not planning to stay there.
Right. I promise I'll get back to you. But hold on here.
You still have a thing with the net. Okay, fine.
No, it's like, this is our backyard. They're funneling drugs our way. They're providing weapons and arms haven, a backyard for our enemies. We have every right to protect ourselves. This is why we are aligned with with Russia. We force Russia by continually encroaching on them for no reason, because they were Russia and they were using Ukraine. And Russia said no mas, and they went in, especially after Ukraine started genociding the Donbass region, which the media doesn't talk about. This is kind of what the U.S. is doing. This is our backyard. You're encroaching on our territory. This is our hemisphere. See, you're equating with them being down there as that distance. They're not right next to us, and I can see that. But this is our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was put there for a reason. Life's not fair. See, this kumbaya, this we can't do this. That's isolationist theory or isolationist beliefs. Now, people say, no, that's not isolationist. It is when you allow the bad actors to slowly gobble up everything. It's like risk. Eventually, you're an island unto yourself, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself economically. And that's the key.
I will predict.
Okay, I'm sorry, G. Go in.
I will predict one action that I believe will happen, and it is I won't believe this is imperialistic either, but it's to follow up with JFK's invasion of Cuba, but they would take out Raul Castro. I believe that will happen. That's 60 years in the making. It will finally happen. Started with a Democrat, right? Actually, you can argue it started with Eisenhower, who was a Republican.
Yeah, it did.
But the one imperialistic thing. The one imperialistic thing that I believe will happen is we will get Greenland.
Right. JFK did not invade Cuba. JFK stopped the invasion of Cuba by not providing support to the Cubans. That's why the Bay of Pigs was a massacre. He did not provide the support they had been promised from the previous regime. JFK talked to any Cuban. They got a dartboard. JFK's face is on that dartboard. They loathe him with a passion. But I agree with G. I don't know if it's going to be Greenland. I don't think we're going to send troops or anything like that. I think they're just going to let Cuba starve themselves out and maybe provide support. But I have no issues with this because it's in, out. We have every reason to it. Now, if we're going to go there to exploit the people, to exploit the resources and the land completely and say, screw y'all, we're taking all this from the U.S., that's a different battle. That's a different tactic. But they didn't do that in Panama. Panamanians are doing well for themselves, not as well as, but they still want the U.S. there. But what happens when there is no U.S. presence in our hemisphere? China and Cuba. When I was still in Panama and we were like a couple years from the Panama Canal being turned over, we knew there were already Chinese battalions coming in, Chinese and Cubans, right? I'm sorry, Cubans first and then the Chinese. So that's what happens. We have to protect our interests. So I have no issue with this. It's like everybody, it's like, oh, look at those poor people. They're eating dog, or all the tens of thousands that Hugo Chavez and Maduro had killed. Well, Trump, damn you, you better not go in there. You can't whine about the humanitarian issues. And then when somebody goes and does something about it, you start crying like a little girl. Not you, and talking about the Democrats as a whole, because they were the ones who saying we need to do something. We got to show, because it's Trump, all of a sudden it's wrong. And the hypocrisy I see, that just drives me nuts, because the Democrats are behaving like a banana republic does. Like a banana republic does. All right.
I still need to know, William, why you like this move? Why?
I didn't say I like it. I say I understand it and accept it. Would I have gone in? I would have. Actually, I do like the way they did it. It was 88 minutes in and out. As a military guy, that's how I've always felt we should use our resources. Mm-hmm. Go in, because what does that do? That has sent a message. All of a sudden, who did you see on the phone talking to Donald Trump and saying, Senor Trump, the doctrine, do not come after me. The Colombian president, he's all back there like, hey, Presidente, how you doing? Because they know if he's going to do the Venezuela, maybe he'll do it to me. It's whether he does it or not doesn't matter. The fear, that's what Reagan said. What's that saying Reagan said? Peace through strength. Yeah. This was strength.
Like speak quietly but carry a big stick.
Yes. And the reason I get angry at people, the reason I get angry with people is they try to compare this to the Mideast. It's completely different cultures, completely different religions. The Catholic religion is not a religion of violence anymore. They were in the Middle Ages, but not anymore. They're a religion of peace, and that's what dominates. 90% of Venezuelans are Christians. They don't believe in that. If you don't believe in Jesus, we kill you. No, but they still had. See, here's the other reason why they got the Gonzalez in there. Señorita Gonzalez, show us your ledger where all the cartel is at, where all the gangs are at. She knows that, or can gain access to that, versus a Mercado. And here's what I need to stress before we move on. Again, Mercado and Gonzalez come from the old elite guard. They come from the faction that allowed Hugo Chavez to rise to power. And I know this explicitly. I saw it with the Arias family in Panama. The reason we got a dictator is because they were plundering the country for their own gain. And that's what the elites were doing, not only there, but in Argentina before Javier took over, and in many other countries. So I applaud Trump for not putting Mercado and Gonzalez in, but he's got to come up with a plan to present the people a framework. You never give out the full details, but you come up with the framework. What were you going to say, Annette?
Well, I just want to know if you and G think that now the executive branch is really taking on too much power.
The executive branch always had this power because Congress gave it up. G.
No, I agree. It's a War Powers Act. And I believe now they're trying to take away some of it by saying, what is it? You can act once, one action, but then the rest of them needs to go through Congress instead of the 60 days or 90 days within
90 days.
90 days. So before the president could do whatever he wanted in 90 days, now you can do one action and then we have to weigh in.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do. That's all the Democrats.
Right. So let me backtrack to the audience because I started off with you and Ed. So what happened in Panama is nobody knew how much drugs was going through. Nobody knew how many types of drugs. The government came out and said, yeah, we don't know, how much drugs were going through. We just have guesstimates. So the people who said, well, the drug trade grew after Noriega, I don't doubt them because a vacuum was made, but they were getting their data from Noriega. He was the cartel's right-hand man, so he was downplaying it. So it was easy to sit there and go, oh, yeah, the drug trade exploded after Noriega left. And we don't know exactly. They don't have a tally that they go, Mr. Cartel, will you take this survey? What are you importing this month to the U.S.? Cocaine? Fentanyl? heroin. They don't have data like that. They get their data through captures, through formulas. And let me tell you about these formulas. We're still trying to find those 3,000 dead Puerto Ricans that they say Trump killed because they claimed he didn't provide aid to Puerto Rico during the hurricane a few years ago. Remember that? His first term? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then remember Bono with USAID? 100,000 people are dead. They never had the bodies to show. My point is these algorithms, these computer projections they use, you can't really count on them. And then, because one, we don't actually, unless you dig in to find them, you got to count on what the media's saying or what that Democrat's telling you. Mm-hmm. So I don't doubt that it's not fentanyl is the major one, but they're lying when they say no fentanyl is coming through. The cartel is, they take advantage of the situation. Hey, fentanyl is the thing now. Cocaine was the thing in the 80s. They adapt. They create what is easy to create. They push it. They promote it. They get us hooked on fentanyl. Fentanyl didn't just come up by accident. It was pushed. So they may be producing cocaine. I guarantee you there's fentanyl labs down there too, because Maduro allowed them to operate. And if you're allowing the cartel to operate, their labs are going to be producing what is they can currently push and what is deemed popular on the streets. And that's just a fact of life. So I just wanted to explain that on the drug issue, because people are saying they're trying to say cocaine's no big deal. And that pisses me off, because cocaine kills a lot of people. Y'all remember, nobody remembers Lenny Bias, do you?
No.
Lenny Bias in 1987 was the next coming of Michael Jordan. He was drafted number 3 overall. Larry Bird said, I'm going to rookie camp. This is Lenny Bias. This guy was phenomenal. Like even Michael Jordan says, damn, that's Michael Jordan there. That's how good he was. 3 days later, Lenny Bias is dead from a cocaine overdose. Celebrating. Cocaine kills people. It kills. Fentanyl is even more deadlier, we know, because you touch it and bad things happen. But Hollywood has made this so much worse. Fentanyl is used in medical drugs today. That's probably how they discovered its uses. I would assume, as I'm not a expert on drugs. But if I read a book, I can become an expert like Daryl Cooper is. Yeah, it's an inside joke, G. I don't think you're here in that episode. So now, before we go there, let's talk about the War Powers Act. As much as I support Trump, I think that's a good thing. Congress needs to take its power back. My concern was, is this being done just with Trump's name? Meaning we want to curtail Donald Trump. No, it's being done for any president. But it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Why did it only a moron would believe, well, Trump was trying to hide this from the Democrats. Yeah. I mean, saying it in a negative way, but yeah, because those bastards would have leaked into the media, giving Maduro a heads up and created deaths, because journalists don't care. Ideology doesn't care how many of people are killed or sacrificed to promote their ideological cause. You see it in the Middle East with the zealots. You see it here with the socialists and the communists. With the Democrats, they don't care how many deaths occur. So, of course, I would not have told Congress myself. Man, in the Navy, you're not supposed to say when you go underway, or in the Army, you're not supposed to, when you get your orders, we're deploying this time, you're supposed to tell nobody. They're all the wives. Yeah, he's leaving on this date. It's so easy for our enemies to give this information because people don't think. So I don't blame him for not telling Congress. So, G, your thoughts on him not telling Congress and the War Powers Act, the updated one? G,
sorry,
can you hear me?
You froze for a second. Yeah, you froze for a second. Can you hear me?
So what I was asking is your thoughts on the War Powers Act and Trump not telling Congress. Do you believe why the reason they didn't tell him?
I believe, one, I don't think he needs to. 2, the operational safety of our troops and success of the operation is paramount, right? So let's say he did tell Congress, AOC would be on the news within minutes saying, well, look at what this president is doing. Like their TDS would take over and they would put their hatred for Trump above the national security of our country, the safety of our troops and all that. So I absolutely believe that. Now with the War Powers Act being amended, I think that's good for Congress to take back more of their power.
Yeah.
So we don't have an LBJ just continually going out there in Vietnam doing what he did. Now, Congress did give him the blank check and whatnot with the Gulf of Tonkin resolution and whatnot. But I think there's going to be problems. If you limit it to one action and there's multiple cities that you act in at the same time, does that count as one action? What if one is hinging on another? Or what if, so the definition of one action will be very broad. And then they could say, well, this one action really had to take 7 days, right? And then you go, okay, well, is that 7 actions? Is that one action? Right? Because you have phases or whatnot.
Right.
So
you're saying it's got to be tweaked more.
It's going to be tweaked, but I don't think there's ever going. I mean, the limits of that will always be tested, because you got to remember, these politicians, we want to idolize them and put them on a pedestal and say they're experts and they know what they're doing. No, I've met a lot of them. They're just like you and me, and they can barely balance a checkbook. Democrats worse than the Republicans, but they're both pretty bad. And they get in there, and someone asks them, well, what do you think we should do about Saddam Hussein? And they're like, well, that guy told me we should take him out. And then they all kind of have this group thing. So, and it's along party lines. And I mean, I will applaud Rand Paul and some of those Republicans. And I'm not a Murkowski fan or anything, or Susan Collins, but I applaud them for not having groupthink and saying, look, no, we need to limit the president's power. I agree with that part of it, even though I disagree with most of what they say, because if you ask me, they're basically and Democrats with the R on their chest. So,
well, they're not, because J.D. Vance did come out and said they're playing it on the technicalities and legalities, and he can understand that, and I can understand that. The downside is, since the end of World War II, Congress plays politics with human lives, meaning our soldiers' lives. And my only fear, which doesn't overtake the fact that Congress needs to retake their power back, is them moving too slow. Well, we need to debate this as we have civilians and companies and corporations being massacred and killed, and their properties taken over. Because y'all got to understand something. Our government represents, or is there to also protect our economic interests. That's what foreign policy is about. The government's role, the federal government's role, is defense of this country and foreign diplomacy, which includes economics, which includes these evil corporations, that we all loathe because they take advantage of us, but they do provide a service, as well as the average American. And since the end of Vietnam, we look the other way when bad things happen, because a weak ducks with a C politicians who don't have this fortitude to do anything. So that's my concern. But I do think Congress is doing the right thing and retaking this power back. Trump's going to veto it, and that's his right. And I don't know if they have the 2/3 ability to overrule it, as they do with Lorraine Boebert's water bill that just went through the House and should go through the Senate, which is going to override Trump's veto. And that's not on the topic, but I just figured I'd toss it out there that Congress, because of they load Trump, is actually doing its job in certain ways. The problem is they're doing it because of an individual versus doing the right thing for America. And that's very layered, but it's very important to be aware of. Annette, your thoughts on the War Powers Act?
Well, William, I just could say so many things about this, because the War Powers Act, I mean, I was the one who brought up that I feel like, I can see why people sometimes have these no kings rallies. I always look at things like, what if that was a Democratic president doing this, like a president that I did not really support? And I don't know how I would feel. And I feel like, what are we going to do now as a country? Beat up everybody on the block? I mean, if it's beginning in Venezuela and he's putting everybody else on notice, I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to do anything or not. And I know you said that you make an interesting point when you say this is about resources and about, economics and what's in our interest. But you brought up the people that are crying tears of joy in Venezuela. And I would say that would be a very compelling thing for someone like me who cares about human beings. But there's a lot of people subjugated in this world. Are we going to, I don't know what we're doing, and I don't know what we really care about.
Okay, hold on. I got a question.
Okay.
You were all for Trump and going into Nigeria a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I was. Yes, I was.
Yeah,
But I thought he was just doing that because people were being chased by the Boko Haram and they were slaughtering them in their homes.
And see, that's just it. Christians, the terms used, that's what triggered you because you're a devout Christian or Catholic. You know, so that's what triggered you. You didn't hear any Christian, so you look at it differently. Now, I'm not saying that that's human nature. So we look at things. I don't. I'm able to look at the big picture, as you alluded to, saying I wasn't earlier, but I do. and I do look at the people, whatever country you're in. Why? Because I came from an oppressed country, but I was the lucky one. I wasn't oppressed, but I saw my own relatives be oppressed.
Right.
So I understand the plight of every person, because I look at Nigeria and Venezuela the same way. But the problem with politics is they try to generalize one as the same as the other, and it's not. They're completely different beasts. You know, in fact, I think we could probably deal with Nigeria much easier than we can deal with Venezuela, because Nigeria is probably dependent on more outside income than Venezuela was in terms of sanctions affecting them more and more. All right, let's keep moving here. In fact, let's get the final takes here on this topic, and we'll start with you, Annette. What's your final take on Venezuela moving forward? What do you think will happen, and what do you think we should do?
What do I think will happen? I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see. I feel like we've entered a new era, honestly, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see the rippling effect from this. And I don't think I could predict what, how other countries will react or what we'll do next or what we're even going to do with this like temporary government situation there. I think it's very, what's the word? Unsteadying. And that's what concerns me about it.
G.
I agree with Annette. We have entered a new era. I won't call it imperialistic as she used it, but what I will say that Venezuela will fall off the news because I think we'll go into Cuba and take out Raul Castro. And then at some point, we won't go into Greenland with the military. We'll just have them added to the country as a protectorate, kind of like Guam. That will happen. I believe it will.
Hello? Is that, did G freeze up in it?
You can see we're kicking them out of, we're kicking the U.S. out of NATO, and we won't go in their military troops, but Greenland will become a part of the United States territories.
Yeah, Greenland's more of a financial move. Now, I don't know where you guys are getting this precedent. 1983, Grenada. 1986, Libya. 1989, Panama. 1998, the Sudan-Afghanistan strikes. 1999, NATO. It's so this precedent has been it's happened at least once every 20 years.
No. Yeah, you're right. But
how's it worked out though?
Reagan, and hold
on. The answer in there.
I'll say it. I'll answer.
Okay, go ahead.
They worked out fine. I think everything was fine.
Look at Sudan today. Look at
Grenada. Grenada's worked out pretty good. It's a vacation spot, and our dumb medical students can get their degrees there.
But what I will say, what I will say, and what I was trying to get at is Reagan and Bush didn't go there and say, okay, well, the rest of you guys better watch your backs, right? But Trump is.
Yes,
so
yeah.
He's not saying it, but his guys are, and saying, well, now we're looking at every country. But I think that's more of a bluff. That's just saying, look what we did, and now they're trying to get some currency out of it by saying, you guys better be on your best behavior, otherwise you're next. But I don't think anyone will ever be next except maybe Cuba. Cuba is a real one that I think, they better really watch out, I believe.
Man, G's got a hard on for Cuba there, don't you?
No, because Rubio is like frothing at the mouth. You can see him like ready to go.
Yeah.
Rubio has been brilliant. I don't like Rubio's politics, but he's been brilliant in how he's handled all this. Look, Annette, you're rolling your eyes, but were there any deaths in Venezuela?
No, not that I know of. No.
I have
not
studied
American deaths.
I have studied a lot of, because I was born in the military. I had a fancy to that. And this is the most brilliant in and out of this scale. Now, I'm not comparing it to a hitman taking one person out, but thousands of troops in this scale. And what is scary for the Chinese, and the Russians is all their defense mechanisms miserably failed. What does that say about the Israel's Iron Dome? You're like, holy mackerel, that's an impressive piece of technology, is that Iron Dome in Israel. My take is this. I think people cherry pick history. I think, Annette, you've been bombarded with the Middle East with scare tactics by your friends and what you're reading online. I looked at history. The Sudanese was, we didn't go into the Sudan. It was missile strikes to get Al Qaeda. It was wag the dog. You guys may not remember, but Clinton, I think it was Clinton was one scandal after another. I can remember, but he did that. And that's where the term wag the dog came about. Operation Just Cause, Panama. I wouldn't say they're thriving because there's still corruption because the Chinese have embedded themselves in there, but they're thriving compared to what they were under Noriega. The Middle East is a train wreck. Grenada, they're doing pretty good over there, but then that's David versus Goliath, with Goliath just stepping, that's Andre the Giant stepping on New York G, but yeah, it works. Is everything perfect? No. I believe I don't want to admit this, but in my heart, I believe we can't make this work without having boots on the ground. And I don't mean just, it's a presence. It's what G says. We're here. Don't mess with us. And this VP is the key. If she can root out all where the bad actors are, in 6 months, you can start to see the beginnings of a transition. And within a couple years, you can see a duly elected government. I wouldn't be shocked if Trump and Vance and Rubio have concocted a game plan to where come the 2028 elections, they use Venezuela as a as a flag bearer of how good their foreign policy is, with them finally having elections right about that time. But I'm not going to lie to you. You take a poll out. You don't even need to take a poll. All you have to do is see the millions of people celebrating on the street. Donaldo is going to be the #1 baby name for 2026 in Venezuela. And Donala will be #2. All right, let's move on. I want to start this segment here with, oops, what happened here? I want to start this. Here we go. I want to start. Oh, son of a. Okay, I'm going to start this segment here with the video, the ICE video. So let me get this set up here. Okay, we're going to move on to the ICE chapter here. This is the video everybody's talking about. You guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, I think this is slow motion now. To the audience, you only see one person there. But, military training, they teach you something called depth perception. And this is a classic case. This body is completely obscuring the body behind it. All right, I'm going to turn the sound off only because it's in slow motion and we don't want to hear. But as you can see, I'll pause it here a few times. As you can see, you have where did we go? Where did we disappear to? As you can see, we have the guy behind him. And right there, you can't really see it too well from that angle. And see, the wheels are turning, and he shoots. You see his gun there. He shoots. And then this reminds me of Hollywood movies when you see the car veer off into the hits a pole or another car. So you see him pull the gun out, and he's shooting. He's shooting in front, right there. He's clearly in front of the car. And then she drives away. And I believe I may have another video here. Let me see here real quick. Oh, looks like I don't. But let me show you a picture of this individual who got shot before. This guy wasn't his first time being in front of a car. He was dragged 300 feet from another car because the protesters are purposely using their cars because they'll drive away, hope they don't get caught, and they have people like Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz. They have a lot of the governments protecting them. This is a picture of the guy after he was dragged 300 feet in the previous incident. That's him right there. Now, they're trying to say it was this one. It was this time. It wasn't. This was before. So this guy already was under duress more than once. So he was well prepared to act this time. And my issue here, let's see if I have any more video on this.
There's another angle that almost looks like he was hit.
Yeah, and I can't find that. Maybe G, maybe if you can find that anywhere as we talk, because I've looked for it and I couldn't find it. But you're right. The angle from the front side clearly shows she nicked him. Now, here's my issue with people. I want to get your initial thoughts, but I want you to address this specifically. Why is it that people forget a 2-ton car, a 200-pound man? Is it Hollywood? Is it thinking the car can hit you softly and it's not going to hurt you? Have you guys seen damage to a car being hit just at 5 to 15 miles an hour and a car will crumple? Well, think of a human. So Mike, we'll start with you, Annette. What's your initial thoughts on this whole incident and the fact that people seem to be blowing off what a car can do to a human being?
Actually, you make a really good point. I never had thought of that before. Is that why people seem to dismiss the fact that he could have been killed by her trying to run him down, and she was literally going right into him? I don't know. I don't know if it's because there's too much Hollywood, but it could be that could factor in. I thought it was so devastatingly sad, actually. And I felt the guy was obviously traumatized by and I saw the video of him being dragged by this car. He has arm inside the car, being dragged so many feet with this guy trying to swerve to get him to really damage him as he was being dragged. And I think that these ICE agents are in these literally unforgivable situations, and people are they're just standing off with them. And I don't even know what they're supposed to do. It's on. Here would be my question for you guys, though. I mean, in that situation, is there a way to stop the vehicle without shooting her dead? Is that just accident? Was he shooting to kill? I'm asking honestly, because
when you pull your gun, you want to take the person out. Period. End of story. They say that. Yes. Always. See, that's Hollywood, and that's a moron. Why don't you shoot him in the leg or the arm? Well, because it's easier to shoot him in the mass body. That's why.
Fair enough. It's pretty serious to kill somebody. I take people's lives seriously, no matter who they are, no matter what. But
he did not wake up saying, "Hey, I'm going to kill myself, an activist protester this morning." This is what I'm saying. You're right. It's a serious thing to kill somebody, Annette.
It is.
Who put themselves in the position to get killed?
She did. You think I'm not on her side? I think she did, and I think she aggressively was trying to run him over. No question about it.
Oh, really? See, I don't think that. But before we go to that point,
it looked like from the other angle, it looked like she wasn't going to stop.
No, you're right. She wasn't going to stop. G, your thoughts on this?
I just sent you a link, but it has a CNN commercial, and I'm not sure that has the video, but it says that there is an alternate angle there.
CBS is the one that you have to worry about.
Say again?
CBS is the one that's a hard ass about it.
Oh, yeah, it could be. I mean, it says witness speaks out, shares new video, account of shooting at odds with Trump admin. So, I mean, I looked at the video. I watched Megyn Kelly's thought about it.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that one too.
That's what I saw too.
Dr. Todd Grand, who's a very fact-based guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know what his politics are, but he's a very he analyzes a lot of crime videos.
Objective.
I'm watching this thing. I don't agree with Trump or Kristi Noem. He was not viciously run over.
Yeah.
Now, I think his leg was hit, but I think it was a minor thing. But here's the thing. If you watch the whole video, that whole thing happens in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And in defense of Good, who's the victim, and this is tragic that it happened, but in defense and in criticism of her, let's start with the criticism. Her wife came out in a video, I think, yesterday sometime, interviewed by the police saying, yeah, we were blocking the ICE agents. Yes. That was our intent.
Right.
So they were intentionally trying to subvert law enforcement, right?
All right, G, keep talking. Keep talking. I'm just going to post the video. I found the video. Keep talking.
But in defense of Good, I think once the ICE agents came up to her, there were 2 of them, and one of them said, "Get out of the car," roughly paraphrased.
Get out of the bleeping car.
Right. And then the other one was saying, get out of here. Right. So now she's faced with two different commands by law enforcement. And I think she took the one that says, get out of here. She's like, okay, well, this is getting hot. Those guys are coming after me. This guy's trying to open my door. Yeah, I'm out of here. So if you're driving the car and you got a guy in your open window yelling and screaming at you, and then you hear, get out of here, I think I'm going to be looking this way and I'm going to go put it in drive and start driving forward. I'm not going to see the guy in front of me, right? Because my focus is at the guy yelling at me. Now, in defense of the officer who's in front, one, he's triggered, right? He's triggered because this happened to him about a year ago.
Well, hold on, G. Don't you think he's triggered because of the car barreling down on him?
Right. No, that's what a car barreled down on him before, right? So now he's going, okay, not again. And this is all happening in 2 seconds. He pulls out his gun and says, not again. And now he starts shooting to try to stop the attack.
Right.
What I believe might be his error in judgment was she was trying to attack him. And her error is, I'm getting out of here after trying to block the ice guys. And she's basically saying, oh, okay, I did my thing. I'm out of here. And so, one, don't ever put yourself in that position. And two, like, it's just, what's that movie where it's like a series of unfortunate events and one builds on the other?
Final
you put yourself in a situation where people have guns and you're screwing with them, and then one of them thinks you're about to run him over, so he's going to shoot. So do I think the law enforcement guy, the ICE guy, is at fault? No, I think he just did what he felt like he needed to do. Maybe he's a trigger happy guy, who knows? But I don't think he intended to kill her. He was videoing her with a phone.
Yeah, he was. He was.
You can see he's like, okay, I'm going to video this thing. Oh my gosh, she's about to run me over, and then pulls his gun. That was not premeditated. That was in fear of his own life.
Right, and that's what the law says. It doesn't matter what her actions were. It's what the officer was thinking. Christy Noam has documented, I think she said there's like over 1,000 of these type of attacks with cars since I started implementing this. So, and this guy already got dragged once. Now, some people can say, well, he shouldn't have been out there. No, he has every right to be out there to do your job.
His job, yeah.
What he doesn't have the right to do is callously kill her, but that's not what happened here. A car was barreling down on him, as we saw. Let me show this video again. I did find
it doesn't look like she's trying to stop at all.
And she wasn't. And I'll give my reasons why I don't think she meant to kill him. So here we go. See my cursor? There's the body right there. And the video loops a few times, so just watch it. That's clearly in front. You see that?
Yeah.
Just right. So the reason I say I don't think she meant to kill him is I completely disagree with G. I don't think she heard that. I think she said, well, I'm done here. I don't want to get arrested because they're going to drag me out of the car. I've seen too many videos of them dragging people out of the car and arresting them. I don't want to get arrested. I'm making my getaway. And in making her getaway, she wasn't thinking. She just turned the wheel, pushed the gas, and went. But she's the whole reason that scenario is happening. And the officer feared for his life. So I don't think she meant to kill him, but she was going to kill him had he not moved. So what makes me angry at this vile, wretched excuse of a human being, and God rest her soul, I can say both things at once, because she had 3 kids. The kid's father had passed away. I can't remember when for what. So to sit there and defend corrupt immigrants that ICE is there to get out, she has now made her 3 kids orphans. There's a grandfather that's going to come down and get him. She allowed that. Remember a couple weeks ago when suburban woman, stop helping us, you're killing us. Well, this is one of the consequences of that suburban woman who doesn't care about her fellow Americans, her country, but only cares about her ideological idiocy that she's been brainwashed into believing. And this is the result of it when it goes sideways. This is going to happen more and more. America has learned from BLM. You're in Valley Center, you guys may not know it, but when BLM started the march through here, there was an other side with guys with guns here in Valley Center. They're like, not in our backyard. And there were only a handful of the BLM people who kind of dispersed. And it was mostly Valleyites, old white people. not even black people in the BLM handout. You're going to see that more and more because people are fed up with this. And I'm going to sidetrack here because this is very important. And kudos to Ben Shapiro. I unsubscribed and stopped following Megyn Kelly. I just don't support people who support racists and bigots in the name of free speech. Period in the story. I know you guys disagree, so those are my words. And I started following Ben Shapiro. Now, he's hard to listen to because he talks like a male version of Rosie O'Donnell. I mean, Rosie Gonzalez, that actress. But anyway, he brought up a great point. The backlash that is coming for Democrats, if the Republicans can take advantage of this, is mind-blowing. If they keep pounding on the fraud and directly impacting that or correlating that with the American taxpayer who already believes taxes are too high, that's going to create another effect. And this, because it's not a George Floyd incident, is also something they can ratchet up. We're protecting you. These people are taking your jobs. The economy's doing better because we're getting rid of a lot of the illegals who are bringing down the wages. I'm tired of hearing construction people and the food industry people in that industry. Well, now you're going to have to pay more. You're going to have to pay more. Well, California, we pay up the yin-yang and stop because of the cost of building a house. It's all the regulations and all that. So, but my point is Trump can use the economic leverage down the road to directly pinpoint this to this people. So in 2026, with the midterms coming up, the Democrats want a violent clashes to happen so they can frame that as George Floyd 2.0, where the Republicans can use this to their benefit to show how deep the corruption is, that they're protecting illegals, people who are taking your jobs, people who are bringing down the wages, people you can't find a house or buy a house because of these individuals, as G has pointed out more than once, and we'll talk about here shortly. So, and Bishop here said a few other things I can't remember, didn't jot it down, but it was kind of brilliant. But it takes the Republicans to stand up. And you may not agree with Kristi Noem, G, and I get why. It's hyperbole. But they've got to match the Democrats' rhetoric. And at the end of the day, you remove both sides' hyperbole, and there is no middle ground. Remember how I talked about perception? You see it this way, you see it that way, and there's a truth. Well, in this case, the left is seeing it one way, the conservatives are seeing it the other way, but the truth aligns with what the conservatives are saying. We have the evidence here, and that is what will doom the Democrats. But we can't let the gas up. And J.D. Vance coming out and saying, nobody wanted that woman dead, but she put herself in that position. Kristi Noem saying, this has happened 1,000 times over. In the past, they would sit there and say, what a tragedy. You know, we really got to sit back and look at this. And the Democrats would just pounce on that. Now they're getting pushback. And going into the 2026 elections, we need to win the House and the Senate for Trump's economic plan to fully take effect, for Trump's, to save this country, because they're going to try to impeach Trump again. They don't care what it is. They're just going to try to do that. But what they're doing is they're creating another civil war. And if we stand our ground, the Republican Party stands our ground, we can use this to our benefit. Annette, your thought?
Well, I mean, William, I think that, you made an interesting point. I think, let me just say one thing. From what I saw about the earlier episode with that guy when he was being dragged, from the picture you showed of him in the hospital, that was the illegal person who was driving that vehicle was really, a criminal and had a criminal record. I don't know. And this woman, as you said, this is a suburban woman who is, I don't know what she thought she was doing to protect her community. I would just say that I still think that why it's troublesome is that, it's shooting someone dead. I don't, I guess what I'm saying to you, William, is, I recently had a very bizarre exchange with a sheriff. Like normally I would get, it's very it's just an example, but it sort of made me think about this. And he's like, stand back, ma'am. Like I was coming at him in my wheelchair. Like I'm going for him. And the way he talked to me, I mean, I could not believe it. I'm like, you have no right to tell me I can't cross the street. It was just a very strange exchange. And he was being very his bravado and his telling me what to do. And I had to be this submissive, person listening to him, although I was in trouble for nothing and he really had no right to tell me I couldn't cross the street. But anyway, I'm an obedient person and I listened. I guess sometimes it gets to the point where you're like, she took this guy on, she shouldn't have, and she was going and she was pressing the gas. No, and he shoots her dead though. I mean,
yeah, but she was in the. Come on, if he had not moved, he would have died. You seem to conveniently forget. If he had not jumped out of the way, he would have died. She was in the act. She was creating a criminal act. Yeah. Now you have to have, what's the term? The crime has to fit the
punishment. Has to fit the crime or whatever.
Yeah. We've seen ICE agents attacked. We've seen them doxxed.
I'm not
the left. Well, hold on. The left created this environment. They were there on a legal issue, which is the government's right to remove illegals who do not belong in this country. And she was protecting illegals in a state where they sent 2,000 in because of the massive tens of billions in fraud. As G doted a month ago, that's not Minnesota tax dollars. That's American tax dollars.
I agree. I don't disagree.
So if she, and this is what makes it worse, her wife is there filming. Oh, look at my little wifey over there. What do you think is going to happen? See, my whole point is they were there for the optics. They were there to cause trouble.
Yeah, I know.
And what you're saying is, well, he shot her dead. Well, are they supposed to just let her block him? Because he did not go there to shoot her. They told her, get the bleep out of the car. Get out of the car. And I agree with G. She said, I don't want to get out of the car. So she drove away. She was making her get away. Because that's the pattern they've gotten away with.
Is that what we're saying now, William? What we're saying now is take note of this. When you don't do what you want you to do, we're just going to shoot you dead. I mean, I just don't like it.
Hold on. Do you think he wanted to kill her? You're making it sound as if he wants to take her out. Do you think he woke up that day? I see this girl. We just told her to get out.
No,
Here's my chance. Here's my chance.
I'm not a moron. I don't think it was premeditated. No, I don't think so. I think if it was me, I would have just let her go. I would have jumped out of the way as he did, and I would have let her go, and they probably could have followed her or something. I don't think I would have shot. And no, I don't think I would have. But what do I know? I've never.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just a different person, right? And he was already run.
She brought up a good point, G. You don't know what the hell you would have done. See, and that's a problem with civilians. You have a millisecond to act. A millisecond. I wish every person on a jury in these type of trials would be forced to go to one of these police stations where they're given a gun and they got to discern between the human and the bad guy or the bad scenario, because they're going to lose every time because they're not trained. And even when you're trained, you don't know what you're going to do until it happens. Green Beret told me that. Doesn't matter how much training you got, though, Pilar. Until you actually hear those bullets whizzing, you don't know how it's going to act. So to judge him, because you just jokingly, you're smirking, we're like, well, I don't know, maybe he was there to kill her.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say it, but your language is saying it. He's not there to kill her. He's there, and I apologize. I'm not saying you said that, but that's the body language I got out of you. What did you want him to do?
Jump out of the way and maybe have another car chase the car down the street. I mean,
1,000 times this has happened. There's eventually going to come a point where ICE is going to say, you're not going to do this. I got to protect myself. I'm going to shoot you, which is in their right. But see, here's what we're forgetting.
We started with the video, right?
Yeah.
And the video was 20 seconds long, but that segment was about 8 seconds. So you're running that video at 0.25 speed, right? Mm-hmm. So those 8 seconds of video were really 2 seconds. So
that's right.
Yeah.
When you're looking at 2 seconds of reaction time,
not even 2 seconds. Look at it. Boom.
Yeah.
That's
it's not frontal cortex. It's protection. It's reflex. It's training, and it's his history. So he pulled out his gun when she started moving forward. I mean, the gun wasn't drawn in the beginning. He had his phone out. So why he kept shooting when he was now to the side and he's still shooting? I think he shot 2 more times.
I don't know how many times he shot. I thought he shot once.
I think he shot 3 times, but maybe it was once. It's hard to tell.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of cameras or videos out there that will tell us
more
about it. But we don't know that she intended to run him over either. I mean, maybe she did, or maybe other videos might show her like she's scared and she's just trying to get out.
But that's not relevant. That's not relevant.
No, it's not relevant. But what I'm saying is that I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did not intend to run him over. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. His training just kicked in, and I thought he thought he was going to die, right? But here's a bigger picture. This is happening all over the United States. And I remember seeing a video over here in Encinitas, maybe back in April, this woman accosting an ICE guy. Saying, why are you wearing a mask? Why are you wearing a mask? Like, do we forget Democrats said everybody needed to wear a mask a few years ago? So I just knew this was a matter of time where something tragic would happen, and it would just not be intentional, and maybe it would be intentional, but this is just a series of unfortunate events. That's just what happened. It's just two people thinking in the moment, and you got 2 seconds to react, and now someone's dead. And a lot of this is a result of Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. Here's a fact. If you Google deporter in chief, whose name comes up?
Trump.
President Trump? No, President Obama. President Obama across 8 years deported 3 million people. President Trump so far, 1.3 million. So he's just about a third of Obama's numbers. Did you see any of this happening? Obama used ICE. How come they weren't basically out there blocking ICE back then? They weren't because it's Obama. We trust him. He's doing what's good for the American people. That's all it is.
That's right.
Now they're looking at Trump going, you're not doing what's best for these undocumented immigrants, which is a euphemism for illegal immigrants. We need to do what's best for them. We need to let everyone in. And so that's what's happening. And these people are hypocrites, right? I don't know, good. Maybe she came to this decision after Trump was elected in 2016. But you look at this and go, why weren't you protesting when Obama did it? And nobody was. They're like, you deported 3 million people. I looked at the numbers. George W. Bush, 2 million. Bill Clinton, 1 million. Obama, 3 million. Trump, 1.2 million. Biden, 500,000. So I'm going back 30 years.
Well, you don't even have to go back 30 years. Go 26,000 bombings in the Mideast, including the purposeful bombing of an American citizen who wasn't given due process, and he's an actual citizen. Nobody said one damn thing about Obama. You know? So it's not just domestic.
Regime change in Libya. That was Obama.
That's right.
That was Obama.
Regime change to regime that we had already domesticated under Reagan. Gaddafi was just living a tranquil life at that point. But they needed to make their bones and look militarily tough, and that became a train wreck. Look, this woman, I don't care what anybody says, she put herself, am I happy she's dead? No, because you don't want anything like, from a political perspective, this is a lose-lose, and then you have to strategize how to take advantage of it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a lose-lose.
But it's not the ICE. See, that's my whole point, though. This was because of Democrats. This was because of Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, Keith Ellis, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, the Squad, Mamdani, rhetoric. Then you get stupid morons like this woman, and she's a freaking stupid moron. A mother of 3 puts her life in danger because she has been emboldened by leftists and 999 other train or vehicle issues like this, and they get away with it. She's the one who did not get away with it. You know, I mean, she's a nut job. This woman went to Canada after Trump got elected. You know, it's like the sheer stupidity of, she's a brainwashed moron. And I know I sound, well, William, she just passed away. I'm angry because she did it to herself. It's like my friend as a child. Being male, we keep all that inside. But when he died and I was 16, I was so angry at him because his death was a result of him. Nobody else. It was it. And I was like, how can you be so stupid? And that's how I see her. And it's not even her anymore. When I read she had those 3 kids, I'm like, you put your stupid brainwash ideology before your kids. You know, before your kids. And there's her wife, she's lesbian, her wife filming it. They weren't there to peacefully protest. They were there to obstruct. And the ICE agent did nothing wrong from a legal perspective, per many scholars. I mean, on Megyn Kelly, you guys mentioned her. I'm sure you saw the lawyer say, well, you know, the state may have the right to do this. And Megyn Kelly put him in his place. Well, yeah. if he was driving to the movies or he was drunk or he was this or that, he wasn't in the capacity of his job. But this is clearly in the capacity of his job.
Yes.
This is a federal case, period, end of story. And because of the video, luckily we have all these angles, the truth has come out. Again, I go back to perception. These brainwashed morons, they don't want to see the truth. They perceive the truth as Trump, bad orange man, period. They are sick people. We can discern enough to go, we love what Trump did in Venezuela, but hey, good job, Congress, in wanting to take your rightful power back. Because nobody should have that much power. You know? But these leftist morons, these pathetic excuses for an American citizen, I get angry because my home roots, I'm American, are Panamanian. And we wish we had the lifestyle here. And then we see these leftists pissing it away, wanting to become a third world. I mean, look at Mamdani. They're already pissed. Let me get your, I'm digressing here real quick. Let me get your take on this. Mamdani, yeah, everything's going to be free, free, free. What? They just raised the price of the subway? You said it was going to be free, bro. What's up with that? But you got to pay. It's a twofold. I mean, he's already backtracking on his crap. And he's there saying this is so wrong. He's part of the rhetoric. And that's the future of the Democrat Party. A hate-filled, vile piece of trash.
Well, when you talk about rhetoric, I read, I think it was a blog post, because I can't see any mainstream outlet doing this, but they said Trump's secret police shot and killed this woman. I think it was a blog post shared by Whitney Tilson on his Facebook page. And Whitney Tilson was running for mayor in New York City. So I'm reading that going, wait, they're not going to say it was Obama's former secret police? Like, is that a thing? Because he used the same agency. So there is a lot of rhetoric that's basically using the power of words, shapes people's minds to go, well, if Hitler was here with his Gestapo, what would I do? I would oppose them. I'm going to, civil disobedience and all that. But it's the same group. It's just American people ordered by their president, Obama, Trump, and even Biden did deport some illegals, doing their job. And why are they masked? Here's the answer. They don't want to have retribution from citizen people like this, right? What if this person was doxxed and they knew exactly who he was and where he lived, and now some illegal immigrants, maybe not even American citizens, illegal immigrants, figure out who this guy is and go after him and say, you deported my friend, my fellow gang member or whatnot. And so that's why they wear masks. And again, I'm going to say it. I just said it 5 minutes ago. Didn't the Democrats say we all needed to wear masks?
Exactly.
3 years ago?
All right. So what about Ashley Babbitt? She was shot by it. She was unarmed, petite, shot by, in my eyes, a corrupt, vile piece of trash who was celebrated by the left, given awards, put on TV. You killed a woman unarmed. Trump supporter. Yeah, put that medal on my chest. That was a Democrat mantra. Now, all of a sudden, they're evil. They're vile. It's the hypocrisy. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I was thinking of you, William, because Dennis Prager.
Don't tell Bill.
Dennis Prager said recently he came out with a little video. In the video, he said,
hold on. Dennis Prager's back?
Yeah. He's in his wheelchair. He's not completely healed yet, but he just had a little blip, a little. And he said, I really question a person who in this day and age will actually can make the argument that people are inherently morally good, that people are inherently good. And William's going to love that because he does not think people are inherently good. Then he goes on and he completes his argument why he thinks people are not inherently good. So I would just say to you then, and I would say that something we should continue to talk about is when you say that people are being brainwashed, why? Why is it successful? Because I really don't believe, she also didn't mean to get killed today, right? And you said, and that the man didn't go there, the ICE agent didn't go there with the intent to harm anybody, right? He's doing his job. So, and then he's in harm's way and he reacts and she's dead now. But I'm just saying, you would say, and G would say, it's some sort of TDS, it's some sort of, they're being brainwashed. I mean, why? Why is
I can tell you.
Okay, you can tell me.
So G, real quick. excuse me, what Annette's referring to is Annette, throughout the couple years we've been doing this, has been always inherently, or I'm sorry, has always believed that we're good people.
Yes.
We're good at heart.
Yes.
And I've always said, no, we're not. It's human nature. We're I would say survivors. So what I've actually started I haven't read the Bible since I was a kid, catechism. So I started reading it again from beginning to end. I'm in Exodus right now. And for those of you who think the Bible is boring, it's not.
No,
it's like a novel. You're like, oh,
intense. Yeah.
You know? But so one of the what do they call it? The verses, the verses I came across. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though the inclination of his heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. Genesis 8, chapter 8, verse 21. You know, and that was my point too. Like, you can't argue with the big guy. Can't argue with the big guy. So that's what she's referring to. G is what Dennis Prager said. But I will tell you why. Because we all want to help people. And these people have been brainwashed that illegal immigrants, despite the fact they've stolen billions, despite the fact that after 10 years, 70% of Somalis are still stealing our taxpayer money, that these people, they're just misunderstood. It's like the homeless guy. Leftists believe, oh, that's just a nice, it's like Song of the South or a 1950s Disney movie, a hobo just happily going from train to train. No, these are bad people, but they brainwash themselves to believing that they're on the greater good, that history will judge them as heroes, defending the little guy. When in reality, there is a yin and there's a yang. And to keep peace and to keep the country that has helped the world more than any other empire in the history of civilization, you have to have law and order. Without law and order, chaos reigns, anarchy reigns. Big John's worldview rules. Nobody's in charge. But that won't work, because what happens is the bad people get in charge. And that's what we're seeing with the Somali corruption. Bad people. Race has nothing to do with it. They just happen to be Somalis. They're all intertwined, integrated. And, hey, look what Joe's doing. How can I get in on it? Hey, look what Hansen's doing. Hey, and it just kind of built. The Haitians, what they've done in Springfield. You know, what the illegal immigrants have done to the restaurant industry, to the field house. Well, Americans don't want those jobs. Americans did those jobs in the past. They would do them today. It's greedy corporations. So the left has vilified everything that keeps the norm to make these people victims and for people like this good woman to defend. In her heart, she was defending innocent people. I don't see innocent people. I see people who have chosen not to take America for what it is. You work hard and you can achieve the American dream. But instead, let's con these American dollars. And then, even worse, let's send them to a terrorist back in Somalia. Does that mean I view every war victim? No. You know why I never want to meet people who I would get in a fight with. I would battle, you know, or illegals, things like that. Because there's an illegal right across from the street I love to death. I used to see him every other day. We talk. He's an illegal. So I went back. I hadn't gone there for a little while. I go, hey, where's he at, man? And they go, oh, no, he has day off. I go, oof. They're like, why? It's like, stay hidden, bro. I don't want him to take you. Because it humanizes them. And Democrats prey on that. They prey on the humanization. Now, they will humanize a murderer. This woman could have killed a man, and they're making her the innocent victim. You know, she's not innocent. She put herself in a position to die, and even worse, she didn't care enough about her 3 kids. And she let her ideology take over, and now she's going to be 6 feet under, and those kids, they don't know who their father's going to be. I mean, they'll never have a chance to get to know their father. Now they won't get a chance to know their mother. And who gets the brunt of this? It's not ICE. ICE is going specifically after the illegals. When these protests, these riots, all these LA businesses, remember, they were destroyed. Mm-hmm. Those are small businesses. They don't have the insurance or the deep pockets like the corporations do. And even then, in Oakland, the elderly are now suffering. There's no more CVS's. There's no more Walgreens. So they've got to go a long way to go get the drugs they need, as they get old. So these people blindly follow an ideology that's telling them you're doing good, when in reality, they're hurting themselves. Like when I go back home and I'm with my brothers who are black, not brothers literally by blood, I've just grown up with some of these guys. I'm like, give me the policies that have helped African Americans since the civil rights that Democrats have implemented. Not one single policy has benefited African Americans that have been put out by the Democrats. The numbers are out there. I've seen the numbers. I've studied the numbers. So in this blindness that people have, they don't want to see the truth because it's easier to look in the mirror. I'm a hero. I am the incredible, and that's what this woman saw. So my long-winded way, that's why. G, your thoughts. Do you disagree or are you on the wrong side of history?
I forgot the question of just with your. So I will say that once people's needs, I think the question is, are people inherently good or bad? I think
no. The question was, Annette, just repeat the question for G, so he gets it.
Wait, I was saying about people.
Why does she believe why is she doing this? Why is she brainwashed?
Yes,
why is she believing
the brainwashing? This? Yes.
Well, I mean, I look at people like
look at that.
Michael Jackson, P. Diddy, right? Clearly, they're guilty. I mean, Michael Jackson's never convicted, but a lot of people will say no, they had nothing to do with the abuse of Michael Jackson, nothing to do with the abuse of all these little boys that he had over, even though they're claiming it. They just want the money, right? So they vilify the potential victims because we don't know that there are victims. We don't know Michael Jackson was guilty. But if I had to place my bets, I think he was. I think he had those predilections. So why do so many people defend Michael Jackson? Because they like his music.
Mm-hmm. They can't
like
separate
the personality.
The man.
It's all about the personality. People will chuck out all the look at O.J. Simpson. They will chuck out all the evidence and go, you know what? I like you. You represent something that I believe in. Or it will be the exact opposite. Like in this case, I hate you. You represent everything I hate. And I'm going to actually go out there and take action, even though my own side, President Obama, deported 3 times as many people and used the same agency.
Right.
So I think that's why people get in this situation. They're tied to personalities. And that's what we are. I mean, we adore celebrities. And Stalin even said this, like, the death of one person is a tragedy. The death of a million is statistics. It's like, okay, who cares that a million, unknown people died? But look, this one person, and that's what they're trying to make her into, at least the Democrats or many of the liberals are saying, this woman was fighting for human rights. No, she was fighting against people who might be gang members from being deported. Yeah. So they're trying to make her now into a celebrity, so it'll be hard to hate her. But I don't think a lot of people on our side hate her.
No, I loathe her, but I don't hate her.
Right,
I pity her.
I loathe her thinking, her way of thinking.
Yeah,
but I don't want her to die. I don't want her kids to be basically biological motherless, like they still have the adopted mother or stepmom. But who wants
I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's just terrible. But yeah, why she did that? I mean, the brain checks out and goes, I like this person or I hate this person, so I'm going to take drastic actions and put my way put myself in the middle of a bunch of guys with guns, and hopefully it turns out okay because I'm going to be a hero. And look, it didn't turn out so well.
Okay, so Waltz, Frey, and the whole Minnesota, they've just been flat out lying. But Waltz has sent a what's it called? A warning order. It's not illegal yet, but he sent a warning order for the Minnesota National Guard to prepare for potential unrest going against the government. And he said, never before has there been a state and federal conflict like this. I'm like, dude, civil war, you moron. Are you that stupid? Oh, I'm just a simple man. No, you a stupid man. And real quick, I got to ask you guys comments because I believe this. Once the Somali corruption broke out, my belief was that he was picked for VP, not because of Shapiro being a Jew. That was part of it. But I think what nobody knew at the time, and that I believe now, he had the money bags. He had a pipeline of money for campaigns for that election and future elections, because we're talking billions of dollars of corruption. Am I on the wrong track with that thought process regarding Waltz? Real quick, G, then Annette.
No, I mean, I read this book. I think Kamala got turned down. Gretchen Whitmer, she wasn't going to ask Newsom. And I think Shapiro said, no, hell no, I want to run in 2028. I want to be the guy on top. So you got all these people turning her down. And then she turns to this guy who's, a dork. I think he's dorky. I mean, just look at, his mannerisms during the debate and all that. He's just a dorky guy. I think she had nobody left. I think that's what happened.
Gotcha.
The money bags, I mean, that's part of it, but I think the main reason is nobody else was there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Annette, so answer that question, but I got to toss this one in per what G said.
Okay.
Do you think Tim Waltz went to the prom with his sister? Or his mother? Or the next door neighbor's kid who got paid off? I mean, G said he's a nerdy guy, and I agree with G. I mean, that's the type of guy he strikes me as, the guy who had to get Mom. Can you find me
dorky. Nerdy means he's smart. Dorky.
Oh, yeah, dorky. Hey, I'm kidding. Go ahead and answer the question.
Do I think that, the reason why she chose him is because he had this supply of like illegal funds and this I hope not. I mean, I guess I have to work on myself to believe that people will not be that corrupt, and it's going to take me a while to flip over to Dennis Prager's side. I just think that, that's just such a corrupt way of looking at it. It's very disturbing to me. But wait, I was going to ask you something about literature, and don't you find it interesting that her name is Renee Good? I mean, you can't make that up if you were like trying to write a story from their point of view. That's
her tombstone. Renee Good did not do a good action on the day she passed.
No, but if it was from their point of view of writing the story, she's the good one. That's the kind of thing you would use in a literary. It just seems just completely almost unbelievable to me that that's her name.
No, I get that. Okay, so let's get to the question here real quick. Okay. Not the question, your comments on this issue. So Waltz has issued a warning order for the Minnesota National Guard to prepare for potential unrest.
I hope not.
And what he's going to do, if he does that, is he's pitting the National Guard against the federal government. And the truth of the matter is, what's your thought on that before I give you the truth? G.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all political theater. I mean, in court, that's not going to land. I mean, ICE has federal jurisdiction. They can operate in any state, and the state's going to try to stop that. And good luck.
Annette,
sorry, I have a question about the National Guard. I thought that was also the government. It's only the National Guard's only.
It can be used by the president under very strict guidelines.
Limited
guidelines, but it falls under the purview of the governor. And so Waltz has every right to call out the National Guard. It's how he uses them. In no instance can you use the National Guard to suppress people or to attack federal agents. And when you talk about not following an illegal order, that would be an explicit case, because the legality is there that the federal outweighs the state at every level. But technically, it's not illegal yet. So if he did this and they went out, even one person, they could theoretically arrest him, throw him in jail, try him for sedition. So I agree with G. It is political theater. Now the ACLU, everybody came out and condemned this again without seeing the video. This is the backlash I'm talking about. The video is the icing on the cake. There's a video. All these people saying a lie, a blatant lie with today's technology, I don't think it's going to bode well for the Democrats long term. Do you think I'm oversimplifying it? I don't think I am, because I'm looking at social media, the Trump and Elon being out there just hammering this away. Hey, don't forget Tesla. all this is looking bad because they don't have the truth on their side. So that is one thing I don't look very good at from the Democrat perspective. But the other thing is, I think these protests are going to be seen differently. They've got turf protesting happening right now in the major cities, Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. For the audience, if you don't understand what astroturf means, it means coordinated. It's not organic. It's made up. It's paid agitators. For example, the Venezuela protesters for Maduro, they were taking pictures. They found the same signs in various parts of the country. How did the same exact sign get printed up and dispersed? All these, that's not organic. Do you think protests will grow from this, or do you think this is going to die because of the truth? Annette?
I mean, I think they look for reasons to protest, and I'm very, very concerned that it could break out and become really nasty. Honestly, yeah.
G.
I think it will be overcome by events, but yeah, they're going to get a couple weeks of mileage out of this. But I think in the end, more people are going to see the video. Like one angle shows, okay, well, she was turning her wheels, not a threat. But the other angle shows that he was clearly in front of the car. And if he didn't move out of the way quickly, he would have been hurt severely.
Yeah.
So
and that's what Ben Shapiro's alluding to long term.
2 to 3 weeks of protest.
You're right, long term, but William, you know better than anybody because you say this all the time. It doesn't matter. Facts don't matter to some of these people sometimes. You're saying
no. I'm talking about the masses of people when it comes long term, the 2026 midterms, gaining support. So, for example, you've seen all this pushback from not only conservatives but people who've seen it. Well, it doesn't looking at that angle, she's at fault. Whereas George Floyd, it was just there was no stopping that avalanche once it started. Correct. Nobody wanted the truth. Because my first question was, well, they said he had a relationship with him. What's that all about? Oh, no, it's racism. No, they had a relationship. And to this day, we don't know the truth because nobody cares at this point, But you're not seeing that. You're seeing immediate pushback. You're seeing J.D. Vance. No, he's not saying screw this woman. He's saying she caused this. So that's what it's about. And I think long term, that will benefit. To correct myself, I said 1,000 off the cuff, but it's been Kristi Noem highlighted over 100 recent vehicle ramming attempts or threats against ICE, and we've seen that in LA. We saw that in LA, with the riots here, and we saw it here. So I would believe her. Any final comments before we move to hot takes? Nope. All right. Oh no, I do have the final question. You guys never answered. Ashley Babbitt. They propped up a cop for shooting an unarmed petite woman, but condemned this ICE agent. The hypocrisy. To me, doesn't that embody the Democratic Party in taking an event, not caring about, this is what I mean by the deaths. They don't care how many people die. They don't care that this good woman died. Good. I get what you're saying today. This good woman died. Yeah, that this woman called good died. They don't care that she died. They don't care that Ashley Babbitt died. They're happy Ashley Babbitt died because she was a Trump supporter. And they're happy this woman whose name is Good died because it's something they can use ideologically. What's wrong with my thinking, or am I right? Because that's how I see it. Annette.
You're 100% right. I was always incensed and I was in outrage that unarmed woman, it just seemed like there was no consequence for that whatsoever. This is just disgusting to me. It's deplorable.
It was like a man in a women's competition. Get off the podium, woman. We got this man. It's like, we don't care. You could have, it's just.
That was the only person who died that day. Do you know what I'm saying? They make this whole thing out, and this woman who did die, there was no retribution for it whatsoever. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's so hypocritical. Yeah.
It's the Democratic Party way.
But it is funny. It's a good literature piece to use the word, the name Good. It really does work.
Yeah, and both sides are guilty of, celebrating deaths, but it just seems like the Democrats are some of the really foam at the mouth liberal types. They seem to basically celebrate death a lot more easily, and I don't understand that. Why? Remember, Charlie Kirk died, and that woman here from, I think, Carlsbad, she's like,
Chicago.
"Thoughts and
Oh,
prayers,"
Carlsbad, yeah.
and started laughing.
Oh,
Ashley Babbitt's another example, shot, and she wasn't armed. I mean,
yeah.
maybe the police didn't know whether she was armed or not. I'm not here to defend the police officer or whatnot, but for the liberals to say she deserved it, but then, here they're holding this woman out to be a hero against the secret police or whatever. I just wish that people in general are just a lot more measured, and we don't celebrate death. I mean,
I'll
Annette
push
and I had
back.
to talk
That's well
to
said.
some
I
of our school
agree.
officials and say, look, some of our 7th and 8th graders should not be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And I
Mhm.
think these kids are not getting it from each other. They're getting it from their parents, right?
That's
And I
right.
don't even know who these kids are. I wouldn't be able to put a name to them, but we heard about it. We're like, this needs to stop. We don't celebrate any death of anyone. And I don't care left, right, whatnot.
What their
We
ideology
celebrate
is.
life.
That's right.
I'll push back. You tell me any conservative politician that has celebrated a death in our lifetime.
Well,
Of
you're
an
talking
opposing
politician.
person.
I'm not talking a politician. I'm talking just some of
Oh,
these
people, gotcha.
radical
Yeah, you're right.
elements,
You're right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
because
I'm
I'll
not
be
even saying every
honest.
Democrat or liberal, just the radical ones.
I'll be honest. I don't hold any ill will to this woman, but I'm not going to celebrate her death. But I'm no longer going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to speak what I see as the truth. She put herself in that situation, and she shouldn't have. And I'm angry at her because she left her kids without a mother. That's what pisses me off the most. And I'm not a saint, but it's like you're a freaking. It's like as I've gotten older, I've understood the importance of a 2-household parent. But even a 1-household parent is better than being raised by your grandparent. Not because
She has. They have a
one-parent
stepmom, but the
yeah,
stepmom was almost
the
taken out
grandfather
too.
already said he's driving down to pick the kids up. So
The
who knows?
stepmom isn't taking care of the kids.
Well, in the lesbian world, it depends. They have always said they've been married. I've known that from having my wife's hairdresser, having gay friends with mock marriages, and they're unified, and they would claim to be married. So I don't know if they were legally married or if they just used the term married. But I do know this: blood is thicker than than a marriage where she's not the biological mother. There's no blood relation. So the grandfather, and that's terrible for the grandparents. Grandparents should be there to celebrate and spoil their kids. Do you know how hard it is for a 65, 70-year-old adult to try to raise a rambunctious kid who turns into, because we all know, I'm sure Annette and G's going through it now, and Annette, you should have one more. They get rebellious in those teen years, and so these poor kids, that's why I'm so angry. And I don't know why it bugs me, but it just bugs the hell out of me and that's what makes me angry at her. All right. So this is going to be
hot takes.
Go. Yes, but first of all, this is a federal issue where state legal and media actors are now trying to push themselves and make themselves relevant. We've seen it with the mayor. We've seen it with the governor. This is a self-defense shooting against a weaponized vehicle. That is my take, and it was during a lawful immigration raid. Now, the left wants you to think this is a predictable, politically driven killing of an unarmed local mother by an unaccountable federal force. That's a narrative they're pushing. But as I've said before, we have the truth. The video is irrefutable, and it shows the innocence of the agent. Local authorities are doing investigations. This is going to end up being in the federal courts, but the left is going to do everything they can to milk this to try to get votes, and I believe this will backfire. If you disagree, let us know in the comments. And before we go on, don't forget you can check this podcast out at grumblingsmedia.com. We're under new ownership, me. And I'll be working to update the website here. We're up to date on our social media, YouTube, Rumble, YouTube and Rumble. You can catch the videos there. And now with that, we are going to go into our hot takes. First up, the Iran regime imports militia to crush nationwide uprising. So for those of you guys who aren't aware, Iran is in free fall. They are what happened in 1979. 79, yeah, no, 1978, 79, yes, 79 is happening again. And as the Shah tried, Khomeini is trying. He's bringing in outsiders to quell the rebellion. He's bringing in outsiders to kill Iranians. He's bringing in outsiders to maintain his hold on power. Thoughts on that, G?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to economy, right? And we were talking earlier about whether people are naturally good or evil. I think naturally their heart inclines to evil when they're struggling, but when things are good and there's plenty, I think at least in the Judeo-Christian world, they tend to be good, right? They're not governed necessarily by those same principles. It's and maybe I'm generalizing about a society, but I think any society, if you're all struggling, then you're going to look at the ones in power and say, look, you guys were supposed to make it better for us. You're making it worse. I think Iran's government's going to collapse. The question is, what's going to take its place? And, I'm sure we could have another hour debate on whether we need to be involved in that. I'm sure we will somehow be involved in that, but
hold off. This will be a separate topic, but we can have an extra question. So hold off on that because I want to ask the question of Iran and the terrorists. So don't let me forget. Annette, so what G is saying is correct. This is an economic collapse. The protests have been off and on for many years now, and they blew up December 28th while you were enjoying a scenic Christmas and holidays. Poor Iranians were dying. Now it's an economic. Now there's soaring inflation. The Rial has plunged, and we're talking plunging like in Germany post World War I, pre-Hitler. Right, that's how bad it's gotten. There are open calls for regime change. The protesters are chanting "Death to Khomeini." Hey, we should be happy because they're taught in school "Death to America." All of a sudden, it's "Death to Khomeini." Annette, your take, and then I'm going to get into the twofold question I have.
My take is, why do we know about it? My take is, I guess my question to you would be, William, there are all kinds of difficult political situations going on in different countries. We could talk about many countries in Africa that people are starving and there's unrest but we're talking about Iran. And I think why we're talking about Iran is because we want to get involved. And I don't want the US involved in that. That's why I think it's front and center.
I think it's front and center. It's like a TV show, the popular one, but then nobody watches the critically acclaimed one that actually has depth and story to it, but they're watching the more popular one. I think Iran's in the news. I think they're in the news because they are the embodiment financially and spiritually of terrorism, of hatred for the Jews, of the destabilization of the Middle East, which has been apparent since the 70s. Whereas Nigeria, we have nothing there of relevance to the average American. So I think that's why.
Turkey has a lot of the terrorist organizations.
Turkey's a NATO ally.
I know they are, but I'm just saying
No. Hold on though. I mean, you bring up a fair point, but see, that's what I mean by the superficial debate. Iran has funded Hezbollah, Hamas, and then every terrorist group out of that region since we were alive, since the fall of the Shah. They have funded it. They are the fathers of everything terrorist wide since 1979. And that brings me to the question. So I think it's important to have regime change there, not because I want it personally, but if you can take out Iran, you're taking out the terrorism of that region. All of a sudden, Hamas, Hezbollah, and all these hateful groups who get funded by the Iranian government, they're cut off. They get nothing. But at the end of the day, it boils down to what G said. Economically, if you don't produce, it festers and festers. And you can only tell them to eat cake so many times before they go off with their heads. And it appears they are going off with their heads. So I have so my question to you is, am I right or wrong in perceiving it how I do? If you cut off Iran, you're literally destroying all those terrorist factions because they are funded by Iran. Now you still have Qatar that funds some terrorist organizations. You have Tucker's favorite country, Qatar, funding terrorist organizations, but Iran has funded the bulk of them. And then twofold, you guys probably don't know who Pahlavi is, but he's the son of Iran, and there's a faction that wants to prop him up. Any thoughts on that? G?
No, I mean, I think Iran's pockets and some people call it gutter, but
That's better.
I think Qatar or Qatar probably does it more in
the Houthis,
kind of like the United States does. You pay a country some money to say, look, chill out. We don't want any trouble. We don't want trouble in your area. We want trade to continue. And we basically are bribing them to stay quiet, right? So I think that's what Qatar does. Iran has a more zealous view of things. They actively fund these groups to cause trouble, right? Whereas I think Qatar is, and I don't know. I'm not a Qatar expert, but I believe a lot of those people in Qatar are just like, let's just chill out. We just want to drill our oil and make money and, fund our country or whatnot. But Iran wants to create the new caliphate. That's kind of been their goal for 20 years now. I mean, maybe you can argue 45 years, but so I do think that with Iran falling, a lot of terrorist activity would drop significantly. And, the only ones being able to carry on their activities would be the ones who have money to fund, their zealous terrorist population or group and say, here's a paycheck. Now go attack this part or that part.
Gee, just not to push back, but just to make sure that I just knows Qatar has indirectly, as G has said, funded groups. What G said is an example, but they have directly funded Hamas. So they have funded groups. Annette, your thoughts?
I think, William, that if you think, even if there was a regime change in Iran, okay, and they weren't funding these terrorist organizations, if you think that, and Iran was just a different country altogether, and they were a puppet of the United States even, that you're going to get rid of the hatred for Israel and other terrorist organizations popping up, you're more naive than me. That will never change. It will never change. It could be Iran. It could be Qatar. It could be our NATO ally, Turkey. It could be Syria. It could be, I don't even know where, but it will never change. These organizations hate Israel, and they will continue to hate Israel because it's so much deeper than just like it's coming out of Iran. Sorry. I really think I'm right for the first time ever.
I'm not going to dispute that because I don't know how deeply embedded, and that's generational hate. The kids have been taught from birth. But I mean, to give you a counterpoint, who are those people?
I don't have any idea who they are.
How about you, G?
Yeah, they were the Iranians under the Shah, right?
That's right. That was Iran in the 1970s.
Mini skirts and all that, yeah.
Very metropolitan. They were not fundamentalists.
Oh, sophisticated, yeah.
Yeah, they were cosmopolitan. So that's why I said I can't argue with you because you're talking generational hate. You're talking about kids. That's why I get mad at leftists, at the Dave Smiths, at the libertarians. Oh, those are just kids dying. I agree, those are kids dying, but they're not innocent kids neither. They are taught up believing Jews are cockroaches from the moment they come out of the womb. And I'm not exaggerating. The video is out there. So I think it'll take a couple generations, but I think it's good. You have regime change. Look at us. And what's my proof of the generational? We were a God-fearing country up until the 50s. And then it all changed, especially when God was taken out of the classroom.
Yep.
Yeah. See, so I believe you're correct. They're going to hate Jews for another generation, but I think that will dissipate.
You do? It will.
Yeah,
it's biblical that it won't. It's biblical that it won't. You're reading your Bible.
But you did not have. There was. See, this is what you're missing: is history from the 50s when the Western nations came in there. Lebanon was seen as the Las Vegas of the Mideast.
Yeah.
Iran, Tehran, they were cosmopolitan. There weren't these fundamentalist wars. Civilized, nations had taken effect, where economy was important, was growing the country, prestige and pride in the country, not killing the Jews was not the dominant. That doesn't mean they don't like Jews. It's like it's like Russians. Do I like Russia as a country? No. But do I hate their people? I don't know their people. I think eventually they may hate Israel because they're Jews, but they'll work with Israel because it's another country. Saudi Arabia, are they not working with Jews? Did they not sign did they sign the Abraham Accord? I think they did. Did they not?
I think they did too.
Yeah. See, they don't care for the nation of Israel, but they're willing to work with them. They understand to keep civility, to keep peace, where everybody prospers. When you have a fundamentalist like the Khomeini who is enriching himself, who is worth billions, living in luxury, when he goes to the head, it's a golden toilet. He doesn't care with the people. It's about Allah. And if you disagree with Allah, we're going to kill you. And they get these weak-minded males to believe that crap. And they domesticate the women like animals. Oh, you did something wrong? I'm going to honor kill you. And Allah blesses me. You know? That's, so that's another form of brainwashing. So I think in a generation or so, as history has shown in the Mideast, I don't have to speculate. I see it with history. But
what has history shown in the Mideast?
You can have peace.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that time.
Yeah, we weren't born. We weren't born in that time, especially after the 6-Day War. See, does that mean, to defend your point, they had a 6-Day War? They did have, and where all the Arab nations tried to gang up, and Israel came and said, "Let me show you how to really fight." And
but
that's why it's the 6-Day War.
Before that, they've been persecuted. And the Jewish people, they've been persecuted for thousands of years.
Right, Annette, but when the industrial age hit and Western nations started to do business and work with these Mideast nations, that's a time of peace and prevalence, when smarter people started to look at themselves not from the religious scope, but from the economic scope. Yeah. Gee, you got any words?
No, I think that was my thought on the hot take.
All right. Russia blows up Trump's Ukraine peace framework. So Russia just rejected today or this week the 20-point Ukraine peace plan. They denounced it as a true axis of war, and they're warning it's going to escalate the conflict. Now, what I got out of that 20-point peace plan is they're treating Russia as if they have no leverage, as if they're a country that lost the war. Whereas right now, they're the country that can simply hold out and completely win the war. So I find this 20-point peace plan is like, Trump, what are you doing? I think he's trying to placate both Europe and Ukraine and assuming Russia's going to go along. But I think the flaw in the plan is Russia wants certain areas, and Ukraine and Europe doesn't want to give that up. So Russia's saying, screw you, Trump. I don't care what you say or do. Where Trump's trying to work something. But they threw that out today, and it comes after Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner signed a 5-point add-on in Paris with European leaders. I'm like, that's nice and dandy, but the main party is Russia. So it doesn't matter what you guys sign. So I'm not aligning with Russia here, but I kind of see their point. It's like, you want us to stop this war, but then you want us to allow you to have NATO troops and peacekeepers and all right in our backyard? No. Because that was why we kind of went to war, because you guys were knocking on our back door. So I'm not siding with Russia as much as it just seems they're treating Russia as if they lost the war here. What am I looking at wrong, G?
No, I think you're exactly right. The only thing that's going to really bring Putin to the table is severe economic pain, but that's not happening. Why? Because
today
agreements with other countries.
Yeah.
So they can still sell their oil to India, and India now has a 25% tariff from Trump because of that, and that's hurting them. But they're like, okay, well, do we get cheap oil, or do we, have fewer, goods sold to America? So I think in the end, Russia is the one with the advantage here, and they can say, fine, you know what? You don't want to agree? Kick us out of the Donbass region. Kick us out of Crimea. And who's going to do that? I mean, Zelensky's not going to do
Trump
it.
Won't. Trump will not send boots on the ground. Trump sends one boot to Ukraine. The Democrats will rule for the next 8 years. No, it's not even that. It's Democrats will rule for the next 8 years. Period. Annette.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he gave the conference about Maduro, one of the reporters asked him about what was happening, with Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he was basically saying how many people were dying. No, it was really sobering to hear. And of course, I actually believed his desperation and wanting them to come to some sort of agreement so the bloodshed would stop. And I totally agree with you. To me, it's sort of like, at this point, can we just give it up and give Russia, make some concessions, and so it ends? I don't see the point in this anymore. I really don't. And they definitely can hold out, and they will, and more people will continue to die. And for what? By the way, for an area that there are actually many people here that are from Ukraine. Some of those people say, well, in our opinion, they're speaking the language and they're still part of Russia, and they've been a part of Russia, and they don't even see what it's all about. So quite frankly, I agree with you, William, 100%.
They're not going to budge until Europe and the US tell Ukraine the Donbass region and those other two regions are Russian now. Period. End of story.
It's going to have to come from us.
Yeah, we're going to have to tell Ukraine you're going to give it up. And here's why I will side with Russia on this point. There was genocide being done to the Donbass constituents there because they're Russian. They're Russian origin. And the Ukraine government was genociding and killing those people simply because those people did not want to be part of Ukraine. So they said, well, we're going to kill you. And they don't talk about that here in the West, but that's an important facet, And because if those had been Americans, I'd be expecting our country to do the same. So it's not that I align with Russia there. It's I agree with their reasoning on that perspective. All right, let's go back to Minnesota. Let's go back to G's favorite topic.
Just there all the time.
The Somali fraud and silence whistleblowers. Well, here's what's happened, people. This is a very important story. Minnesota's Democratic machine, the machine, is accused of blocking fraud probes into Somali-run operations, intimidating the auditors, and blacklisting whistleblowers who tried to expose it. Now, Minnesota Representative Marion Rarick told a House hearing that a Somali-aligned Democrat political machine in Minnesota successfully silenced not one, not two, not 10, but hundreds of government experts monitoring the massive flows of taxpayer money. Up to 1,000 auditors were threatened and blacklisted. 1,000 that included auditors, accountants, and program managers. They face explicit threats of being fired with cause. And what does fired with cause mean? It means you don't get any benefits. You're completely out in the code. You had a pension plan, it's gone. Everything's gone. So fired with cause, denying them unemployment and blacklisting them from all state agencies, as Minnesota's pretty much a Democrat-run state. Now, DHS says the focus was on employees, not fraudsters, meaning they were monitoring the whistleblowers, the people who they feared could expose the grift. They weren't monitoring the fraudsters. They were spying on the people who were trying to expose the corruption. An example, Faye Bernstein, I wonder if she's for Iran Falling. She's Jewish. Punished for speaking up. A former DHS compliance specialist, she told Newsweek she was escorted out of the building, investigated, banned from DHS properties, and involuntarily transferred after raising concerns. The belief by some, and I don't know if I fall for this, but it's like they want to replace all these Somalis, all these immigrants from all these other countries with hardworking Americans because of the grift. They pay them, they get the vote, Democrats stay in power. I think there's some truth to it. I don't think it's as black and white. My issue with this, guys, again, as a Panamanian seeing two dictators, this is what dictators do. This is what communist countries, socialist countries, authoritarian countries, this is what they do. This is America. People who want to blow the whistle should be taken care of, should be protected. They're the true heroes, not some bimbo in a car. I think this is very important, having these people investigated, and arrests should be made and must be made. Now, before I get your comments, I just want to go to the next story because it ties in. How will this happen? Well, J.D. Vance unveiled a new DOJ fraud-busting post. and he announced there's going to be a new assistant attorney general for fraud to lead federal probes not only into this type of welfare fraud, daycare fraud, political fraud, but the political violence, meaning who's funding the bimbo in the car. Who told her you got to be there this time? Who told the guy, hey, these pallet of bricks are for you in LA? They're going to be investigating that type. So right now they're going to start in 3 states, our favorite state of Minnesota, but also Ohio and our own home state, California. And again, it's going to be tied as well to the protest shooting in Minnesota. This is the group that will be investigating those type of issues. Your thoughts on this finally happening? Do you think it'll happen, G, or do you think it's day late, dollar short?
No, I think it will happen.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you, 1984, Reagan won all 49 out of the 50 states except Minnesota. So there's a lot of rot going on in Minnesota. Now, to be fair, Mondale's home.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's Mondale's home state. Come on now.
But people have lost their home state, right? Al Gore lost his home state and came close to winning in 2000. But Minnesota is, I think it's been taken over by corruption and fraud. But look at California. I mean, I think California probably takes the cake now, 40 years later. I mean, there's probably tons of corruption, tons of fraud here. And by the way, I don't know if you know, the new law in 2026, ICE agents in California are prohibited by state law from wearing masks. So right, I know I brought that up 3 times now.
But they have no teeth. That's not enforceable. It's against the law.
Yeah, I mean that. But we'll see. That will go to court, I'm sure. But I think there's a ton of fraud here. I'm sure there's a ton of welfare fraud. I'm sure there's a ton of helping the daycare and all that stuff. That there's probably a ton of fraud here. And I'm glad JD Vance is appointing this, because if you look at all these states with big cities, and for some reason it happens, states with big cities, there's fraud. And it's because when you got a bunch of people together, millions of people together, it's like some guys will escape the radar and operate underneath the covers and apply for free money from the government. And last time we're talking about the Somalis, I'm talking Americans. There's plenty of Americans doing fraud, and we need to really crack down on them.
I agree. So, and then I want to attack it. It's wrong. I want to get your perspective on the humanitarian. This, and the reason I say that, they're defending a woman who put herself in a position, and they're trying to make her the victim. And the woman called good. Sounds like a James Bond. No, the woman called good. It does. So they're willing to defend her, but they want to prosecute and destroy people who want to sit there and expose fraud. When you hear that, what are your thoughts?
I guess my initial thought is that it's not that surprising, William, that they're going to be playing both sides all the time. I don't think you always grasp their perspective. And there is going to be a good argument for this lady, Rebecca Good. People might say that that's the first thing he did. I mean, instead of just trying to save himself, which he did save himself, was then pull the gun and shoot her. I'm not saying she was in the right. I obviously think that she was completely in the wrong. But to this fraud issue, I do actually think that they're going to investigate it. I do think that we've talked about this. We talk about this at length, how much hypocrisy there is with inside the arguments that the Democratic Party makes. I was shocked at the extent of the fraud and how they were able to get away with it. I mean, these daycare centers that had no children. I mean, it was just, all of it was really shocking to me. But she makes a good point too. People take advantage. People look for ways they can abuse the system and for their personal gain all the time. And Republicans do it too. Democrats do it and Republicans do it. I mean, I agree with you on that, G, right? I mean, if people can take advantage of things and get some sort of angle for themselves and maybe profit themselves from something, I think sometimes they'll do it. It doesn't matter what ideology, if they're conservative, you know what I mean? I guess I'm asking you, William, do you think that the Republican Party is has a better moral compass. Is that what you're saying? Is that the point?
Oh, today, yes, no doubt today. But see, you're generalizing. I'm saying in general, yes. Why? Because we have the God-fearing people, Christians, who believe in God, pray to God. That the left, their God is their ideology. They hate God. They hate Christians. They hate Catholics. So I'm not saying we're better, but we are more God-fearing. So statistically, I would say if I had to pick that person, the Republican, Democrat, odds are that's a God-fearing person. I would, if I put a gun to my head, I would trust that person better than I would the Democrat. And the biggest giveaway, which I hate to say this, people, it's true. Green hair, blue hair, dyed hair, shaved hair, stay the hell away from them. That the odds are that's a hardcore leftist. Stop helping me, suburban woman, right there. But I'm kind of stunned to hear that because I don't think you can equate. There's no justice. There is no reason to sit there and try to destroy the lives of people trying to expose corruption. We can debate. I won't debate it. I'll just show you the facts, which is the video of the woman. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what Democrats have done to them is despicable. Will Republicans do that? Yes, power corrupts. Power corrupts.
Talk about that, yes.
Corrupts, but we have never had a Republican in office at the extent of the corruption of Clinton, of Obama. Not even Bush was that corrupt. Cheney, yes, but it's a big myth. Cheney was not running the country through Bush as they'd like to claim. Did he have a lot to say? Yes.
An influence, yes, he did.
Yes, he did. But as much, and I will never forgive Bush for the Iraq war, because I loathe the hypocrisy. Oh, the wounded warriors! Look what he's done. I'm like, he sent them to get wounded for money. Come on, So yes, there is corruption on the Republican side, but we've never seen, to my knowledge. No, let me put it this way: the Republican Party was created, and we willingly let ourselves be put in the line of danger to free the American slave, to free the black slave. That's what we were created for, amongst other things. That is what embodies our party as a whole. It was Woodrow Wilson who had that KKK movie shown. It was FDR who wanted to stack the Supreme Court. It was FDR who became a tyrant, his final 2 terms. It was Lyndon Johnson. We'll have those bleeps voting Democrat for the next 200 years. It was Lyndon Johnson who was sent us to Vietnam with no care in the world. It was Eisenhower, a Republican, who warned us about the military-industrial complex.
He did. That's true.
It was Reagan who brought our taxes back down and gave a rebirth to the economy. But then we got Bush, who was controlled by the elites. But so power corrupts and no party is perfect. But by God, if there's a party that has done more for this country than any other party, it is not the Democrats, the party of the KKK, the party of hundreds of lynchings of both white and black. It is not the KKK who did not want a woman to have the right to vote. It is not the KKK, the Democrat Party. See, to me, they're interchangeable. It is not the Democrat Party who wanted to keep women. It is the Democrat Party who wanted to keep women from voting. It is the Democrat Party who fought against the Civil Rights Act. It is a Democrat Party that has hijacked Black Americans without one single policy that has actually benefited Americans. It is the Democrat Party who said the projects, that's just temporary, bro. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 generations later, you see those same family lineage in the project. So yes, Republicans are not perfect, but by God, we are a better party than Democrats have ever been or currently are. Gee.
What can I say, William? I bring out the best in you. That was a nice little monologue there. That was well said.
As God said, the truth shall set you free. He didn't say it, but I know who said it. Go ahead, G, your thoughts. Oh, no, G, you already gave your thoughts.
Yeah, I already chimed in.
All right, let us move on here. Trump, G, this is for you, baby. Annette, you can chime in with this. So to the audience, G wants, I said it's messaging. G's like, no, we got to lower the rents. We got to lower the rents, damn it. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, nah, G's too chill for that. But he brought up rent, and it's indirect, but it's housing.
Yeah.
And my issue was it's the messaging, how we deliver the message about the housing. But Trump is actually going to move to try to ban large institutional investors from buying single family homes. And Blackstone's stock got hammered for a few days. I think it's back up. But in a True Social post, he blamed record high inflation under Joe Biden. That's partially true. And congressional Democrats for making home ownership increasingly out of reach. Partially true. This is where I would agree with you, Annette. Both parties were responsible because by not taking action, that makes Republicans just as responsible. And this all falls on the head of young Americans because they can't afford a home.
Right.
So this can hopefully help them. And during Biden's term, inflation peaked at 9.1%. A single family home price hit a record high, $432,700. For the audience out there, the average price in California is $900,000. This past June, it dipped from a 433,000 to 409,000. G, the floor is yours. First of all, do you agree with Trump taking this type of authority, which is not what you would call a free market, but I believe needs to be done anyway?
No, it's not free market. It's populist. I don't agree with him because you're not addressing what's happening, right? In 2008 through 2011, people weren't keeping their homes. They're giving them back to the banks, these institutions who also didn't want the homes back then. And, that was a prime time to take this real estate and turn them into rentals, and some of them did, but they were trying to get them off the books by selling them once the value went right back up, and they went right back out and were bought by individuals. So
hold on. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt. Okay, I agree with you. That's what happened then. That's not what's happening now.
Right.
Now they've expanded. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's what happened then. And I want to let everyone know that's how the free market works, right? People don't want assets where the values are going down or the rental income is not enough to support the house value or whatnot. So what's happening now? We're not building enough homes. We're not developing enough land. And there's too much demand for homes. There's too many people here. That people hate to hear this, but illegal immigrants, when they move here, they got to live somewhere, and they take up space in a home, which would otherwise be taken by a legal immigrant or an American. So now you have more demand, people willing to spend more for a house because they're both, maybe two families are fighting for one home. Whereas if we had two homes, they would say, okay, well, I'm not going to pay extra for this. So what's happening now? Now you got these large corporations out there seeing this basically a parabolic rise in home values, saying, well, let's make money. We'll rent it out, pay the monthly operating costs, but let's make money buying these homes, seeing a shoot up in value, and maybe later down the line they sell it for a capital gain. So why I don't agree with Trump on this is you got to make the supply of homes larger, right? Existing homes and new construction. So new construction is easy. Well, how do you make existing home supply for sale higher?
Oh, okay, let me interject here real quick.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem I have is these BlackRocks or whatever these groups are, these big corporations, they're now building these massive homes, suburbs, but they're not allowing people to buy them. They got to rent them only. So they're not allowing people to live the American dream. They're buying these large suburban areas, building them out 2,000, 3,000, 400, 500. And no, they're not for sale. You can only rent them,
Yeah, it's happening right here.
Yeah, but this is where so you're talking new construction, but let's talk about existing homes, because if that's happening in new construction, here's how you counteract it. So a lot of us, we're stuck in our homes, and I say stuck because one, if you try to sell and your gain is more than 500,000 on the home, you pay taxes when you sell, and then you've got to buy a more expensive home, and you can't bring all your money over, right? You got to pay taxes on some of that. So now you have less money, and then you got to refinance at a higher interest rate. So step one, what you do is say, okay, let's say you have a year, you sell your personal home. You have a year to roll every single dollar into a new home. You don't pay any taxes on it, provided you buy a new home that's worth more within a year. And then two, what you do is you say, well, you can take your existing loan. Your loan is not tied to your home, but is tied to you. And you can apply your 2.75% to your new home, that loan amount, whatever it is, 300,000, 500,000, you can apply that value at the 2.75%. And then if you need more, then it's at the current value, whatever it is, 6.5%. Now you're going to get all these people who are quote unquote stuck in their home, golden handcuffs, saying, well, now I can take my 2.75% interest rate and I don't have to pay taxes. I want to upgrade. I want to downgrade. I want to move to another home. They can do that. Now you get existing supply getting onto the market. And now, yeah, BlackRock's doing that. They can't charge an arm and a leg for rent because now people have other options. And that's the main thing.
I agree with you, but that still doesn't stop a big corporation going out and buying the area up and saying you're never going to own this house. You can only rent it. And then on top of that, you get all the regulations from California and other states where 40% of the cost of a home has to be paid by the builder before a shovel is put in, and they pass those costs on. That doesn't address that, because my issue is,
yeah, that's true.
I did read up on this a couple years ago, and I was shocked because I had no clue. I couldn't understand why aren't there any homes. And then I read a couple of articles that these big mega corporations were buying when the market was down. They were buying everything up, and the homeowner who said, hey, the market's down, honey, we can finally get into the house. And as an example, the GI Bill with a sailor or an army guy, we can get in the house at a good rate. There's no homes. So that's why, see, this is where I disagree with. We don't have a true free market. We never have. The strong take from the weak at every level, as a country, as a corporation. That's why Facebook doesn't lost its creativity. They just buy WhatsApp, Instagram, and that's what they're taking from the market, and we're not able to replenish it. So this is where I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I'm just saying I think this is this is happening more than we realize with these corporations.
Well, I was attacking the other side of the coin. I will say that I play Monopoly too. That's what you're talking about, right? There's only one winner at the end of Monopoly. So, 100 years ago, Teddy Roosevelt was fighting monopolies, saying this is a result of a true free market, that power is concentrated in a few large corporations, and everyone else basically becomes subservient to it. And you look at Walmart, that's what's happening in these small towns. So I will concede that point and say, okay, well, we should have legislation out there that says, look, there has to be some limits, and you got to figure out what seems to be fair. And I'm sure that will be worked out over decades. Really, that will be decades. But you can own some rental property, but you can't be the what was that guy in It's a Wonderful Life, Potter?
Yeah. Potter.
You can't be Potter. You gotta
the banker.
George Bailey's be
Potter.
George Bailey's and make this Bedford Falls and not Pottersville.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I think this is. We never had true capitalism. You have to have government to protect us, the American people. I think this is Trump. Now, how he makes this happen is the real question. So I support the thought process, but I could easily flip if I don't like how he wants to do it. So he's got to do it. It's just sometimes I wish he could just go to these companies, stop doing it, and they stop doing it. And meaning,
they'll stop doing it until 2028, and then they'll start up again.
Well, and that's why I loathe Democrats in that, because Democrats are supposedly for the working class and the people, but they're in bed more with conglomerates than Republicans have over the last 20 years. You got any thoughts on this, señorita?
No. She did a good job.
Outstanding. All right, here's one that's I'm overweight. I eat well. My doc told me you are in phenomenal shape, but you got to lose a few pounds because I eat well, but I eat too much. So my issue is my metabolism. But I cook my own foods a lot naturally. It's like I can't do it, but I got homemade cup of soup in here, and I want to get to the beef down below, but or the turkey down below. But my point is I don't eat processed crap, but then I get scared because I buy cheese, and I just found out Pfizer's GMO rennet hidden in most American cheese. Now you're like, huh? What? What's that? What the article is saying, this article claims that about 90% of North American cheese is made with a Pfizer-developed GMO enzyme that's effectively unlabeled, meaning you don't know. They kind of disguise it as they label it. And it's raising alarms about transparency and, more importantly, safety and corporate control. So what this does is it uses something called fermentation-produced chymosin, and that's a genetically modified rennet, first engineered by Pfizer, then later sold, and it dominates the market. But in essence, in a nutshell, what it does is it takes away the natural fermentation process that makes the cheese that's from animal fat, whatever, and puts an artificial one in there, probably for speed purposes, things like that. And they did their basic, it's safe. The FDA has said that this is a relatively safe product. Think about that. Relatively safe product. I'll find the exact statement. But in essence, they say it's relatively safe, but it was based off a 90-day rat study. That's it. So we don't know what the long-term human health effects are or anything of that nature. And the reason this pisses me off is everybody hates RFK. But this is the crap he's exposing. How many drugs are in foods that may or may not? I'm not saying it does, but we have to ask the question, is it causing all this autism? The autism rate has dramatically jumped, not only with vaccines, but maybe it's the processed foods. Maybe it's environment. Maybe it's all this radiation. We don't know. But it seems when we want to do legitimate studies to figure all this stuff out, there's big corporations not only buying up our houses, but buying up the ingredients that help naturally make. I guess what I'm asking you guys and to get the audience to understand is, I think this is a good thing. Don't you? Exposing this, I think it's a good thing to demand it. But I also want to, don't you think this is also the government betraying us? Selling out to Big Pharma? We'll start out with you, G, then go to Annette.
I'm all for transparency and openness, right? Like, I don't know about this enzyme, and I'm not a big proponent of GMO. That just means you genetically modify something, which all life is genetically modified. And so you know, whether it's a random mutation or it's intentional. So, you know, there's a lot of scare about it. So you can charge more for non-GMO stuff. I mean, if you look at like cucumbers, and non-GMO cucumbers are $3 per, and the GMO one's 50 cents. I mean, you know, there's a lot of profit to be made in saying, well, we're not GMO. So, but I'm okay with having more information and let the consumer decide. I would happily eat this cheese. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That doesn't mean that there's some DNA material in there that's going to modify you, right? It's just the enzyme itself was created by way of modifying some DNA of an organism that created it. So, you know.
But see, G, that's the problem. That's the problem. I don't think, and
Right.
the person and your ally's going to go, G's right. A 90-day rat study was done. Yeah. You go, rat. You go. My take is, why not do an actual proper study, and then when it's ready to go ahead and then incorporate it. Yeah.
But I'm just more of, okay, use it until it proves that there's something long-term, right? Like, we're living longer and we have more GMO food now than we did 100 years ago. We're living decades longer.
But hold on, G. You're being deceptive, and I'll tell you why.
Because
we're not
medicine.
living better. No, we're not living better. Alzheimer's is on the rise. Early onset Alzheimer's has been coming up like never before. I used to work in that industry. And then we're putting billions, families are putting billions and billions of their own money and going into debt because of Alzheimer's. So we are not living better. We are living longer, but is it conflating? You're conflating living longer with the assumption we're living better. My dad is 92. God bless him, knock on wood. But his short-term memory is now finally starting to go. And now our concern is our mother, who's 85, having to deal with a 92-year-old Puerto Rican macho generation mentality who doesn't want to do what he's told to do half the time. You know, so to me, we're getting towards decisions with my father to protect our mother, not from violence or anything, but just, you know, they're not strong people; they're frail people now.
Well, let me just bite back with this. So You don't know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. But if you're not you don't live long enough for the tide to go out, then you don't know who's naked, right? Because you're dead. So the analogy here is if most people are dying in their 60s, you don't get Alzheimer's till you're 80. Now people are living till their 80s, and a ton of people are getting Alzheimer's or memory loss or dementia or whatever. Then at that point you go, well, wait a minute, these rates are going up. Well, yeah, because they're living long enough to get them, right? So that's my counter argument. I'm not saying that early onset isn't happening more frequently. We should investigate all that. I'm not against that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of like, if you don't eat organic or you eat GMOs, you're going to die earlier. Like there's no evidence for that either.
But you're proving my point. First take is early onset Alzheimer's is happening at a dramatic increased pace from 20, especially we're talking 30-year-olds now, 30 to 64, not in the 80s. 2, Alzheimer's has not been genetically linked. They think it's aluminum in one generation. Now it's not, so we don't know. Right. We just know the plaque dies, and its studies have proven fruitless on this to the point major pharmaceuticals said we just invested too much money. We can't figure this out. So it's not something because you're getting older. Nobody really knows. But that's just one example. And the tide has come out. And we see it as an example with Alzheimer's, with early onset, with cancers happening much faster now since the jab. Now, we can't sit there and say that it's because of the jab, but we need to investigate this stuff. And I guess my issue, Annette, I'm tired of bought and paid for politicians. And again, I will align with you, both Democrats and Republicans, who will look the other way, like that Cassidy buffoon, that hypocrite, that useless excuse for a Republican senator who is aligned with Big Pharma, and will defend him to his death. Same with Bernie. It's like you're supposed to serve the people, and you're willing to look the other way. You're not you're not sitting there saying, no, we need to take a step back and test you. I don't care if it costs you, if it takes you 20 years. We're funding 70% of your damn studies anyway. I know that for doing a paper in college, how much the government funds Big Pharma studies, depending which study it is. You guys may not be aware, but at one point, the government was funding about 70% of the studies for AIDS. And now you can live with AIDS. My wife and I were just talking about it. We lost my brother-in-law, her brother, to AIDS in the early days. And now he would have been living and thriving. So, and that's because the government funded a lot of that the Big Pharma didn't want to fund. So my point is, I don't care how long it takes. Big Pharma lies when they go, we're costing big. Yeah, but we're paying about 70% of that. Your thoughts on the humanity of all this?
Well, I think it was interesting. I don't know if you read, that Carolyn Kennedy's daughter died of a blood cancer.
Grandkid, right? JFK's grandkid.
Yeah, exactly. Granddaughter. And I read the piece that everyone was talking about. She sort of wrote like 2 months before her death, and I think it was maybe the Atlantic, but I'm not really sure. But I read the whole piece, and it was actually very touching until the part where she started to rip JFK. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah. Okay, I guess what I would say to you is, I was like, I was shocked by that because I really appreciate him. And when I was working for Northwestern Memorial Hospital, I used to work for them in their fundraising division, and I was raising money for genetic research. It was during that time that I met Francis Collins. And I'll never forget being so impressed with him and thinking he was a superstar. I mean, he was mapping the human genome at the time. And then he goes on to be the director of the NIH, and sort of is really, in my opinion, very questionable now because his relationship with Fauci. And, I wondered, I'm like, here's this person that I admired so much. I read his book. I knew him personally. I met him a couple times, and I always thought this is a God-fearing man. So I go back to your question about how power corrupts. Here we are now where they really won't disclose the things that will kill us. I mean, they really don't care at all. And if they can play with it or make money off it or figure out a way to profit off of it, if it hurts us or harms us or it doesn't help our body to thrive or, it doesn't matter in the name of profitability, how it affects human beings and their ability, as you said, to live well, not just live longer, but to be healthy for longer periods, a longer life and a healthier life. So I question all of it. I did a course over the summer in Yale bioethics. I took a course, and they were doing some really interesting brain research. And the professor, who was in Scotland at the time, talking about the brain research, he said, they can bring a brain back. It could be dead for 20 minutes, but we can bring the brain back to the part where we can make the body function again, even though you were drowned 20 minutes ago. We can do that now. But just full disclosure, I want to let you know that I'm working for a private company right now.
Exactly.
And I thought to myself, interesting. What are they really doing with this brain research? Because as soon as he told me that the research, oh yes, it's also good. We've got all the consents and all that, using these people that have died and using their human brain tissue and their human brains and bringing them back really to life, except not consciousness. But that's next, I'm sure. I wondered he did not disclose the company, the private company that he was working for, while he was still doing this research at Yale. And I think they did 500 brains last year. The point I'm making is we really don't know, and they don't want to tell us, and they're not going to disclose it. So I appreciate RFK, even if he's just sort of bringing up the idea that maybe more vaccines doesn't necessarily mean healthier children. And if we can sort of minimize it, we might be doing everybody a favor. I think to be skeptical is the right approach with all of this, which is why I didn't personally get the vaccine. I really would let my body and its natural immunity handle it as much as I can. I'll always take that approach. I personally won't even take like an Advil unless I absolutely necessarily have to. But I think we need to be skeptical. I think the government doesn't care. I think these big pharmaceutical companies will feign their research and feign their results. And I've seen it happen even in spinal cord research. I hate to say it, but I know firsthand that they kept research going and were paying for research, having innocent people who wanted to walk again pay for research that they knew wasn't viable and had already been proven that it was not going to work. It was not going to lead to furthering anyone's ability to walk again. But the money kept on going there. I've seen that happen. It made me lose my faith in giving money to any organizations for any research unless I really knew intimately what was going on, which is very hard to know, to be honest with you, because
I agree.
It's an emotional pull, though. Someone wants to be cured from their cancer. Somebody wants to walk again. You know what I mean? Somebody at the very fundamental level, we just want to live. So imagine what that does to your what a pull that is emotionally, to think that maybe if you give enough money to this research or that laboratory, your dream of health might come to realization. I think the whole thing is very sad, and again, a bit of a corrupt, a lot of people I know who can't walk actually really believe that there's cures around the corner, or there's even potential cures that would not come to fruition just because you make more money off of people in their wheelchairs. So I always look to the bottom line. When they say follow the money, I follow the money in medical research all the time.
No, I agree. If there was and then the trap door opened, I think that would be you as a candidate right now. Annette said it bad. No, I'm kidding. No, I agree. You always follow the money. Power corrupts. To me, it's not a question. It's fact. History shows power corrupts. It corrupts absolutely. If the Democrats are willing to astroturf protests throughout the country, then what makes anybody think that the executives or people doing a study at Pfizer won't sit there and manipulate the data? In fact, we know that happens. We saw that happen with the UN study on climate change. But it's depressing because, again, maybe because I'm getting older. Y'all are killing our kids in the name of money, And Annette, for the record, I believe we may be closer to what I call, G probably knows the game Deus Ex, Deus Ex, where it's a whole world built on prosthetics and people, having literally everything done with prosthetics. I believe we're going to be much closer to that world where you could be able to walk with prosthetics, and the mind with the nerve attachment. They seem to be getting closer to that than actually growing limbs and all that. And heaven help us when that world comes to existence. You
mean heaven help us when I get to walk again?
No, not you. I'm thinking athletics.
I keep myself at a decent weight and try to stay in shape as much as I can is because I hope that I'm still young enough to capture something and to have the dream of walking be realized for me. But I think there could be, as you said, a technological version, right? Using technology that might be the answer more than some sort of like a drug, let's say, that can like heal the spinal cord, which I know is a lot more complicated. But I think that what I'm saying is it plays upon anyone in any situation, given disease or given disability, is going to, more than anything, desire that outcome to be healed.
No, I agree. Nobody wants to die. God bless my sister. She was one of this who goes, I'm ready to meet my maker, etc. But at the very end, she wanted to live still. I think it's just because she was scared. She's just scared the thought of death. And I think no matter who you are, that thought's going to happen. But there's a lot of people who from the get-go, like for me, I'm like, I've lived a great life. If I drop dead tomorrow, I'd be content with all the things I've done. That's what traveling the world. I go, but I'd be scared to die, but I think there are people who want to live as long as they can. And when they get cancer, they get that. There's documented stories. They've been fleeced by these new agers, mostly, this natural remedy, that natural. And by the time they do die, they're flat broke. Nothing left to give to the kids because they didn't want to die. I do agree. All right, we got two more topics. Let's hit them up real quick. Dan Bongino, Muscle Man, back in the news. He is going after the black pillars. For y'all in Make America Great Again talk, a black pillar are people who are in the know. The Candace Owens, the Megyn Kellys, the Smiths, the people who are in the know. He's going after them because he's like, y'all just want clicks. Y'all don't care about the truth. Now people are attacking him saying, you're kind of being hypocritical. You are one of those black pillars. I applaud him. And the reason I applaud him, he's been on the inside. It's whenever there's a military story or a military movie or whatever, like a cop movie or a cop story, people who are cops or have been in the military, we kind of have insight. Doesn't mean we're better, but we have insight. I think he's taken that insight and he can become formidable. I'm not a Dan Bongino listener. I know G's a big fan of his, but I'm not. But to each their own. But he's going after him, and I appreciate that. Somebody needs to go after the Megyn Kellys, the Tucker Katarsons.
That was Megyn Kelly's great.
No, she has no spine. She won't sit there, and she's defending Candace. And then she says, I got Candace and Erica to sit down and talk. It's all going to be good now. As Candace, since that talk has continued, ramped up the attacks on Erica Kirk and TPUSA, who she will sit there and say, I find Nick Fuentes intelligent, charismatic. I don't see what's the big issue. Okay, I'm giving some hyperbole, but she did use those two terms.
She did say that. Yeah, she did.
And my take is simple on these people. The KKK had every right to do their free speech, to walk down the street. But if they came into my yard, my mama and papa would say, get the hell out of my yard. If Nick Fuentes or an acolyte came onto the show, hey, I like that dumb brown guy you got there and that dumb woman in the wheelchair. Can I come on your show and talk? I'll be, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. Because that's what Nick Fuentes is. But she would platform him. She defends Tucker Carlson. And if they did come on, I don't like me some black people. I would not be, we'll get back to that. I'd be like Barbara Walters was on Louis Farrakhan, on him like a dog in heat. I'd be all over him. So that's what I don't like about him. I'm like, we're not canceling them. We're just like, I don't want you as part of my movement. You are not conservative.
But we wouldn't have Nick Fuentes on this show. We wouldn't want to talk to him.
Nope. Because I know who he is, and what he represents. I don't need to give him a platform. And ironically, it'd be the other way around. He'd give us more eyeballs. But I don't care to have subscribers who are racist. I don't care to have subscribers, G, and I apologize, G's, but who look at G and think he's what's the term, G? Is that the term?
A G? He's a G?
No, G is the term he used, whatever that term
means.
I
don't even know what that means.
I assume it's negative. I
never heard that term.
I don't need to have a Nick Fuentes acolyte and go, yeah, William, you don't look it, so maybe you'll pass, but I don't like your family who are a bunch of spics. Why would I give that person a platform? Why? I know who he is, what he represents. And I don't need people to tell me, well, William, let him talk. He's just showing all his hate for the world to see. No. Because what happens as is human nature, the people who agree with him, hey, they're allowing him to talk on the mainstream. People are opening up to our way of thought. The KKK died out. The FBI began the process, but they also died out because we ostracized them. Get out of our neighborhood. Get out of our schools. We don't want you. We support Black Americans, Latino Americans, Hispanic Americans, Indian Americans. You don't. That's why, and that's who he's going after, are those people. He's viewing these people as clickbaiters. He's viewing these people as for the money, not necessarily the Megyn Kellys. He hasn't said specific names but he's talking about the people who are shilling for money. The people who never cared about the Epstein file, who are MAGA influencers, who all of a sudden care about it, who can make. Have you guys ever seen the numbers you make? I've seen them on YouTube. The numbers, anybody, if you got 100,000, 3 million, you're not making chump change. An influencer can earn a 6-figure income with just a couple 100,000 followers. That's it.
Okay, let's get it going, William.
So, what do you think? What do you think of Dan Bongino going after those black pillars?
I gotta ask GB. I mean, I know I have an opinion about it.
Go. Let's hear your opinion first. Come on, get out, lead the charge.
I'm disappointed in him. I'm disappointed in him.
Really?
Because
interesting.
Because he was on the inside. And what did he do about Epstein? But continue to fuel that narrative that he killed himself. I don't, and then the tape has disappeared. And I think he's a part of the cover up. I do. And I think that's really why he's gone. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you've taken the side that you think everything about Epstein that's been said from outsiders is true. I just want to clarify.
I think our FBI is definitely lying to us.
That's not what I asked. I'm saying you believe all the influencers who aren't on the inside, but who conveniently say, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but conveniently say, my sources are telling me there is a list and they've seen it.
Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. Did the important minutes of the tape disappear?
Oh, you're talking about the 3 minutes. I'm talking about, in essence,
1 minute.
Yes,
1 minute. It was short.
And they found that 1 minute, and it's a guy. It's pretty grainy. You can't tell. But my point is, you're missing my point.
Okay, what's the point?
The point is, people who aren't on the inside, who are coming to conclusions with
Who are
no
speculating.
evidence. Yes, speculating. So I'm not saying they're wrong, but they don't have any evidence. Now, let me take that one step further out.
Okay.
Thomas Massey, MTG. We got some ladies going to go on the record, baby. That was 2 months ago. They said those women were going to come on the record next week. What were they, 8 weeks waiting? They were talking trash too. So I'm not saying I align with Dan Bongino, but I do know this, Annette. When you're on the inside, maybe he saw the exact opposite. Maybe he saw there are no documents. They've all been burned. Or the documents don't really give us a true answer. We have to speculate and assume, okay, we know this guy went there. We kind of assume he was with young girls, but we have no evidence. We don't have, having the evidence to take somebody to arrest somebody is a far cry from speculating. And my take is, and I'm not saying this is the take I believe, but I mean, one take he's looking at it from the perspective is I saw it from the inside, and from the inside is nothing like what we were speculating on the outside. Gee.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're not responsible for anything, you can say almost anything you want without any repercussion, right? And then now that we're responsible, like Annette and I were responsible for school, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Okay, well, now that we have to see all the different angles of it and we get to see what's happening, what I thought when I was on the outside is different from what I think on the inside. So I think the biggest disappointment with Dan Bongino for a lot of the MAGA base is the Epstein thing. But because he came out and said, look, there is no there. The fact that he was so vociferous on Epstein did not kill himself, now that he's actually responsible for something and he has...
Oh, hold on, G. Just to insert, he was also one of those guys, my source is telling me. Can't forget that.
Right. I mean, but the sources could be wrong too, right? And maybe he's really honest about that. But we had one of our own on the inside now, looking at all the evidence, and maybe Epstein. I mean, so here's my take on Epstein. And I know that's not really the conversation here, but maybe Epstein did kill himself, but he was forced to. Someone went there and said, "Look, if you don't, then this is, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And then he goes, well, this is a better way to do it. So, I can see that happening. And then Dan Bongino actually sees that and goes, yeah, he really did kill himself.
Okay.
And then he can't talk about anything else. I mean, because of confidentiality. But, he's lost a lot of clout with the MAGA base. We'll see what happens when he returns to his radio show. But I think people have a very short memory. And I think, in a couple of years, he'll be right back to where he was before. I'm happy to have him back as a radio
I'm going to defend
show.
both of you guys. I'm going to defend both of you guys here. I'm going to defend Annette from the perspective.
Thank you.
Why people believe that? Well, Pam Bondi was the one who came out. I seen that list. I saw it. It's on my desk. So she kind of screwed it for everybody. I truly believe. But see, and I believe that she was just talking out her yin yang because she has a head so big it can't fit through the door. She's got a massive ego, But that said, she did say that. I can't remember the exact wording. And people are saying she meant the files, like all the files. But she did specifically say, I've seen things, Then Bongino comes out with a different line, and supposedly there's some kerfuffle. But my point is, we'll never know. But I don't care. What's that saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend?
Yep.
That's Dan Bongino to me now, because I don't care. I just want people to attack these black pillars who are hurting our conservative movement. Why, Annette and G? Because these black pillars, Candace Owens already said, I don't care about the midterms. Why? Because she cares about making Candace Owens a big star, But I care about this country. She doesn't. Tucker Carlson, he cares about. When Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson platform racists, bigots, anti-Semites. That hurts our overall cause. That gives the Democrats the fuel they need to go, see, they're the party of racism. And we're not the party of racism. But some of our top influencers, I don't know what the hell happened. I supported Tucker Carlson at one point. I supported Megyn Kelly. She was my favorite podcaster. And I'll be honest, I'm like a guy on crack. Megyn Kelly podcast is on. Because I love her podcast, but I won't support her now.
Why though? Why?
Because evil comes in many disguises.
She is not. You have to listen, but you're not listening.
She's doing an evil act when she is supporting people who support anti-Semitism, when she supports people who will platform racists, bigots. Distancing yourself by so many layers. Hey, I don't care. When at the end of the day,
hate somebody does not mean she supports.
She falsely said she fought. Go ahead.
They have asked her though to basically defriend and denounce these people, and she shouldn't have to do that.
No, they have not. They have asked her to denounce what they've said. Ben Shapiro, when she was down and out, went to her, come out to California, showed her their whole setup, how Daily Wire can be run, says you can do this. Ben Shapiro said and offered the evidence of Candace Owens by doing journalistic work, following the dots. And when she was saying TPUSA was responsible for Charlie Kirk's death, who was running TPUSA? Erica. Then it was Megyn Kelly who came out and said, no, Ben, a couple of days, less than a week later, no, I looked it up, Ben Shapiro lied. She called him out. Didn't call him on the phone, hey, Ben, this is what I found. But then when Ben Shapiro does that and doesn't want to create waves but wants to say the truth because she's my friend, who's the one who shits on Ben Shapiro and said, he's not my friend? She's a mean, and here's what I did notice, and I told my wife about this. I love Megyn Kelly, babe, but she's like a mean girl who wants all the attention. That's the only flaw with her. And that is what I see in her now. She acts like Charlie Kirk, and if you listen to her now, her and Charlie Kirk were tighter than Cain and Abel were when they were born, tighter than as tight as blood. They were acquaintances. Here's what people don't understand. And G, or you guys, if you've traveled to events representing your companies over years, you meet people who you align with, you talk to, and you're friends when you're at the events. You go out, you have drinks together, you have dinner together, you text each other or email. Yeah, I'm going to be there. Look forward to seeing you. But then that's it. You go your separate ways. You don't know about that guy's family, the guy's wife, their kids graduating. That was their relationship. That was her and Charlie Kirk's relationship. That was it. Now, the way she talks, they were the best friends. Yet she's shitting on Erica Kirk. She's crapping all over Erica Kirk. Yeah, I see that, G.
Yeah, she is. I just want to say one more thing. Erica Kirk, I think, is running for her life. And I think she's extremely performative. And Charlie Kirk had the greatest respect from me and my daughters, even if they didn't always agree with him. And I've always really liked him very much. I do not feel the same way about Erica. I don't know what kind of Bible stuff she's spewing, but it's definitely not the God.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you on Erica Kirk. However, Candace is attacking her vile and evil ways. You know, I don't find her flashy. I find her boring. I kind of question, like, have you actually mourned? And it's because the way she's tossing. I'm like,
strange. Yeah. It's strange at best. It's performance.
Yeah, it's strange, but I'm not going to condemn her.
I'm not condemning
her. No, you're not. But they're saying you're missing one point. Candace is, and Megan Kelso, I have great respect. Charlie Kirk did not have respect for anti-Semites. A speaker asked him about the Jews and this. He goes, no, not here. I'm not going to even talk to you about it. The boat, Liberty.
Right.
That somebody brought that up. That's nonsense. People have twisted his words. What he was saying is, yeah, it's like I say something to defend Israel, and all these people are saying I'm an Israeli lackey. He goes, no, I love Israel, but I can ask questions. They twisted that to go and say, no, Charlie turned. He did not like Israel anymore. They just flat out lie. And that's the boat Megyn Kelly has attached herself to. That. So she could be friends with Tucker Carlson, with Candace Owens. But you and I call them out.
We are going to have a proper podcast on this and go round and round, because I have a lot to say, and I know we're approaching 3 hours. But
all right.
Let me speak. You've got to let me rebuttal what you just said.
Okay. You do it next podcast. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. The floor is yours. No, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Every day, I watch Candace every single day, and Tucker whenever he has a show.
But
I watch
3 hours. We're 3 hours, so we'll end the show with that. All right, people, you heard it. Before we started the show, people, I told the guys, hey, I've got a Tucker Carlson podcast lined up, because I've cataloged like at least 10 of his lies so far, just over the last.
I can't wait.
Tucker Carlson, who supports a regime that has fronted and given money to Hamas. All right, guys. Annette, before we go, what's up with your book?
Yeah, I'm looking for a publisher, so I'll let you know if I find someone. All
right. How's it going with you, G? Any updates? Oh, before I forget, G, why were you defending the GMO there? Is curry a secret ingredient we need to know about?
No, because everything's GMO. Everything is genetically modified. So the science, if you look at the science of it, I just sit there and go, I don't understand this, because we're all genetic modifications from our parents, right? And
no, you're right. And I agree with you to an extent. It's one thing to sit there and create a hybrid that'll grow bigger and thicker, but there's another thing to start doing crap that's chemical, and on organic, I always warn my wife, babe, just because they say it's organic doesn't mean it's really organic. That organic field may have been next to a field where they were tossing all the chemicals and all that, which goes into the ground and infiltrates the organic field. And with that, my friends, we hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Rumble under the profile handle Grumblings Media. And until next week, I am William Del Pilar for the beautiful Miss Annette Ross and the handsome, on certain weeks, Mr. G. Mangani, the G-Man. Until next week, this is Fired Up, and I bid you adieu.